Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome in, my friends, to the show that definitely ends at 10 a.m., as a matter of fact, is when it ends.
If you're a kid and you're up this early, you're probably pretty angry right now. I'm just saying.
I mean, what time does school start around here?
Like 8-ish, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
My high school started at 7 a.m. You were in a chair. Actually, I was not in a chair. I had first period basketball all 4 years. One of our classes could be one of your sports, and first period was basketball for me. That actually made it worse. It sounds awesome. Sounds awesome.
Because then you're sore and sweaty all day unless you shower.
Don't care about that. I didn't mind. I would shower after practice. We had 50-minute classes, 55-minute classes, then 5 minutes between. And so coach would run a 45 to 50-minute practice, and then you had 5 to 10 minutes to get ready for second period. And I didn't mind. I didn't mind showering. All right, whatever. I'm sweaty. I'm not trying to go in there and chat up Ashley Powell in second period when I was covered in sweat. All right, I didn't mind taking a quick shower before we had to roll up into second period. That wasn't the problem. The problem, great one, was that practice started at 7 a.m., as in you are on the floor with the sneaks laced and that classic traditional cheap mesh basketball practice jersey and shorts on. You were on the floor ready to sprint at 7 a.m. Not on the floor dressed, but like rubbing your eyes and yawning. Not on the floor at 7 a.m. ready to No. 7 a.m. you're on the baseline. We're running a suicide to get practice started every day. That was Mark Tease's idea of a wonderful start to the day. Hit a suicide at 7 a.m. when the bell hit. Bring 7 a.m. Somewhere else in the school, you knew your friend was starting their trigonometry class. The seniors, not us, not the basketball seniors, but the seniors, they had first period homeroom. That was designed to give you as a senior the opportunity to get your bleep straight for the day, right? Get all your AP homework finished up and put the finishing touches on that book report or whatever. And what ended up happening was that those guys didn't have to come to school until 7:50 a.m. They got that extra almost hour. Not on the basketball team. Not if you're a basketball player. You are on the floor 7 a.m. running a suicide ready to go. I didn't even mind that, except for I had to be in the gym at like 6:15 a.m. to get ready to start practice at 7 o'clock. Miserable existence. Did that for 4 years. Yeah, miserable.
Hours, I believe, because it was a really long time for me. I think it was like 7:30 for us. And senior year, I just kind of slept with my eyes open through physics class. And then I had ninth period as my study hall. So that was much better because, yeah, we had 9 classes. So I had ninth period off. So for football or whatever, I could go in, take my time getting ready for practice and, just lounge around and get ready.
I went to I did ask Mark Tease one time. I said, Coach, why is basketball class, and don't get me wrong, in retrospect, pretty great that one of your classes you got to burn out of the 7 you had to go to every given day. One of the classes I got to burn was just go play basketball, which is great.
Did you get less than an A in that class?
If you were in that class, you were on the team. This wasn't like an open to everybody. If you were on the basketball team, you had first period basketball. If you weren't on the basketball team, basketball was not an elective you could take. And so I asked Tease at one point, hey, why is this first period? Why don't you make this the last practice, like the last period, right? Make basketball a 7th period class, and then we can just roll into practice, right? Nope.
No, because you get 2 practices in.
No, it wasn't even that.
Oh, okay. Well, to me,
and that would make sense. That would be a logical thought, right? Okay, you get practice, then you get all day to think about what you learned to practice, then you come back in the afternoon and you get to execute what you learned in first period.
Doesn't sound legal, but
very legal.
Yeah,
very legal.
There are limited practices for.
This wasn't practice. This was class.
Yeah,
that's why it was legal.
Okay.
All right. So I asked him about it, and his response was, Because if you're going to be on this team, I want you to be someone that I know I can trust to show up and be ready to work regardless of time or place. I want kids on this squad who are going to show up ready to work and to do the right thing, whether it's 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. for game day. That's what I want. And I will give him credit for this, regardless of how you felt about it. If you missed a 7 a.m. practice, if you missed basketball class, or if you were late to basketball class without a good excuse, verifiable excuse, unless you were a 5-star draft pick, unless you were a 5-star recruit, you were suspended for the next game, or at least half of it. Like, I don't remember exactly the rules. Like, if you're late, it's half, and if you miss 7 a.m. practice, you don't play next time out. And keep in mind, you had like 2 basketball games a week. So if you missed Monday through Friday, and there was a Friday game, you missed one day that week, you were out for that game, or at least half of it. I respected that. And the reason I'm telling you this, aside from the fact that Lonzo triggered a core high school memory for some reason, the reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about discipline in the world of sports today. And the platform for this conversation is going to be the Chicago Bears, and it's going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. Those are the 2 teams that I want to use as illustrations. And there will be other teams that end up in the mix of this conversation. But the reason that I say that is we have all been, and I think rightfully so. Lonzo, did you see the Jaden Daniels, as the Spanish broadcast team called it, Ave Maria?
No, I heard it when you played it on the air, though.
Oh, yeah. So have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay. It's worth the watch. It's worth the watch. And the reason it's worth the watch.
So I need to see 2 guys who I don't understand in the booth just to see their excitement.
No, I mean, have you actually seen the play? Have you
Yeah.
actually seen the toss?
Yes.
Okay.
That's like probably 1,000
Yeah, I
times.
figured so.
Yeah.
That's why I was a little shocked when you said you haven't seen the play.
Well, you made it sound like have I seen those guys calling?
No, I haven't
because
seen
you
those guys
mentioned
either.
those guys before you.
But I've heard those guys and they're amazing. I've heard those guys and they're amazing. And for those of you that are asking, like Zach did in the chat on the stream just a minute ago, yes, we are going to come to the Deontay Johnson trade here in just a few minutes. Because no, my panties are not in a twist about it. And it sucks, but like you should have seen the writing on the wall for this one.
So they're pristine. They're not twisted.
Unwrinkled, and I am unbothered
Okay.
by
good.
the metaphorical panties. That
Good to
is
know.
correct. We're going to come to the Deontay trade here in a minute because you shouldn't be shocked or bothered by it. Okay. You just shouldn't. It shouldn't be, you should, whatever. Okay. I'll tell you why in a minute. The Chicago Bears, we came into this year, and by we, I mean I, and by I mean all of us collectively, obviously, because we know ball. Came into this year with moderate expectations for the Chicago Bears. First couple of weeks, mildly disappointed in the initial performance of Caleb Williams, but as I told you then, and I told you going into the year, I think there is this false narrative that is created by a very small number of rookie quarterbacks, that rookie quarterbacks can show up and just like be dogs right out of the gate. That's not how it works. Most rookie quarterbacks are not dogs. Most rookie quarterbacks need some time to figure it out. Well, as the season progresses, if you are watching it, it is pretty easy to see that Caleb Williams is figuring it out week by week. It's taken some time, but for most rookie quarterbacks, it takes some time. So Caleb Williams going up against Jaden Daniels, who did play in this game this past weekend despite a rib injury. Jaden Daniels finds himself in a shootout with Caleb Williams. And both defenses are playing relatively well. It's a low-scoring game, undercashed by all the points. It was phenomenal. And then we line up on a drive with Washington in charge of the football, coming out from their 25 with inside of a minute left to play. And there is, and I will say this looking at it in retrospect, there is no reason for the Chicago Bears to have lost this football game. Now, I know most of you don't care about Chicago Bears football or Washington Commanders football. But this conversation isn't about the Bears or the Commanders. It's just about football. And stick with me. I'll tell you why. There's no reason that the Bears should have lost this football game. They lost this football game. As I said preseason, I thought they would lose most football games that they would lose this year because the coaching stinks. It just does. They were in a position to win this game, and the coaching fell apart. Well, wait a minute, Rob. The coaches weren't out there executing. No, I know. I am aware. But it's not just that. You were talking about a couple of things. Number one, on the quick out that stopped the clock to give Jaden Daniels and co. time to set up for, to run, to execute, and to succeed on the Ave Maria that they utilized to win the football game. What the Commanders were about to do was glaringly obvious, and Chicago had no answer for it. You knew what they were going to do. There were two options there. With enough time to get two plays off, they had two options. Number one, they take a Hail Mary shot at the end zone. An Ave Maria shot at the end zone from 80 yards away, which doesn't make sense. Best case scenario, ball gets caught probably 20 yards shy of the end zone, and now they don't have the chance to get up there and clock it. It's going to be a miracle if they get the next snap off. Or number two, they can do what every person in the country who even has like a GED in the knowing of ball said they were going to do. They're going to run three guys on the fly, one guy towards each sideline. Jaden Daniels is going to be looking to the sidelines to see if he can find a guy that they can get the ball to, get him out of bounds, and reset with a shorter Ave Maria opportunity. And that's what they did. And Chicago had nobody out there. Nobody protecting the sideline. It was a bad play. And then you have the Ave Maria itself. And there's a lot of things we can talk about that went wrong on that. Number one, and I think this is the one that has drawn the most criticism, I got a defensive back. I don't know how many of you have seen this or not. I got a defensive back that is talking smack to the Commanders fans while the ball's in play. I'm not talking about while he's running back to play free safety on what is obviously an Ave Maria. I'm talking about Jaden Daniels is taking the snap. He's running around left to right, looking for room, trying to avoid defenders, setting up, giving his fly route receivers time to get down into the painted part of the football field. And I got a safety back there who is hopping and skipping around and talking junk to the fans. And then Lonzo and I have had this conversation a gazillion times in the multiple years we've been doing the show together. Lonzo, if you're a free safety and an Ave Maria gets launched into the end zone, what's the one thing that should be running through your mind?
Knock it down.
Knock it down. This is elementary school football. Literally, the first game that you learn how to play, or at least I did when I was a kid, when you learned how to throw and catch a football. Where I was from, we called it 500. Told you this before. Game is simple. Quarterback, guy with the football, throws the ball way up in the air, and he yells out a number. 100, 200, 300, 400, or 500, or he yells jackpot or bankrupt. And you throw the ball up in the air, and the goal is to catch a combination of footballs. They add up to 500 points. So, you catch 100, and then you want to catch 300. Now you got 400. Now you got to catch another ball where the guy yells 100 to get you to 500, whatever. But along with that, obviously, is a situation where maybe if you have 300 and the quarterback yells 400, if you catch that ball, you're going to bust it over 500, go back to zero. But if he yells 400 and the guy next to you, he has 100, he catches it, he wins. What do? Knock it down. Jump in front of him, get a hand on it, and not tip it up. Because you know what happens if you tip it up? It can still be caught. Knock it down. And I got multiple Chicago defenders out there very clearly trying to stat pad and grab a pick They end up alligator arming the football up into the air, and there's Noah Brown in the back of the end zone, tutty. Now, there's one more thing about this in an Ave Maria defense. There should always be one guy who is in the back of the end zone on defense, and he has one job. Whatever receiver leaks out from behind the scrum, because there will be one, when a wide receiver leaks out from the back of the scrum, looking for exactly what happened for Noah Brown, a pass being tipped up and backwards by the defense. You got to have somebody back there to knock that down. Knock down the second chance. Chicago didn't have that either. The point that I'm making here is this was a loss that was 100% preventable, and it was 100% preventable by a well-coached, well-disciplined defense. What do we say the big problem is going to be for the Chicago Bears coming into this year? Poor coaching behind Matt Eberflus. That was it. I wasn't worried about Caleb Williams. In fact, Caleb Williams won me over in the offseason. I was not a Caleb Williams believer going into the draft, but I watched a heck of a lot, and this is a weird sentence to say, of Chicago Bears preseason football, and he won me over. He won me over in terms of character, won me over in terms of leadership, won me over in terms of arm strength, in terms of precision and understanding. I said, I don't think he's quite as good still as a lot of the draft experts are trying to pretend that he is. But he's pretty good. He won me over. Quarterback, not the issue. Wide receivers, running backs, whatever. I've already told you, I think Caleb Williams is in one of the best starting positions of any number one overall draft picks in the history of the NFL. Honestly, I think that Caleb Williams was drafted into more of a beneficial position than any number one draft pick that I can remember at the quarterback position. Phenomenal position. They're great. Defensively, a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football for the Chicago Bears. A lot of talent. There's one thing I said coming into the season would hold this team back, and it is defense. It is coaching. The only thing that could hold this team back is coaching. And it was very evident that it's a poorly coached football team on that one play. That loss was completely unnecessary, but it ended up being that way because of that. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I got some sound bites from some different folks that have jumped in, including a couple of Hall of Famers that have analyzed what went wrong there. And I want to talk about the importance of having a good, solid, disciplined football team or baseball team. Am I right, LA Dodgers? We'll talk some World Series coming up later in the show and more. It is going to be a busy damn day today. We'll get to that Deontay Johnson trade coming up here in a minute on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, good morning, guys. Y'all stay right there. I got a live read, and we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. right, dudes and dudettes, good morning. Chat, there it is.
Off brand name prices. Go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Sponsored by eBay. We all got a thing.
Salvation Army next break.
10-4.
Fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
After a week off, Furman football is back in action on Saturday afternoon. The Paladins
According to his social media, Adam, he's doing fine.
Seems to be great. I hear him on Saturdays when I get in the car to drive around after the show.
Yeah, I quickly turned that off. I just cannot wait till snow. I'm disappointed no snow in Detroit yet because I want to see his post totally slowly turn from "oh, it's so pretty" to "my God, get me out of here." That's what I'm waiting to
see. So yesterday, the Carolina Panthers send Deontay Johnson, a wide receiver they acquired during the offseason from the Pittsburgh Steelers, back up north to the Baltimore Ravens. And they do so sending Deontay Johnson and a 6th-round pick back to Baltimore in return for Baltimore's 5th-round pick. And based on where these two teams are likely to finish in the draft order, right now, the Carolina Panthers are going to have a likely top 3 pick. They are also one of the betting favorites to end up with the number 1 overall selection. And based on what we are seeing and the fact that Deontay Johnson, the only true, although Xavier Legette is starting to flower just a little bit, and perhaps Xavier Legette can grow into that number 1 wide receiver.
That'll be great, man.
Deontay Johnson was the number 1 wide receiver. So now, whatever momentum you had started to grow with Bryce Young, now you go back to a situation where effectively Adam Thielen is once again your number 1 overall wide receiver. It's not going to go great for Carolina. When I say it, I mean it. They may not win another football game this year.
Yeah, we already thought that.
Yeah, I think there was still some hope, or at least the thought was there, and we'll ask Rashad Beard about this when he joins the show tomorrow. There was still some thought out there that, like, maybe they could still – by the way, I'm going to go to the Panther game on Sunday, I think.
Yeah, we know you're going.
I think I am going to go, but it's really more just to have something to do on a Sunday at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I'll go. I'm going to talk trash because I find it amusing. I expect nothing. All right. But the Deontay
you're really
trade,
going because this might be one of the only victories left for the Saints.
that is also true. That is also correct. My team may listen. Both of our teams, Carolina fans, both of our teams may be drafting in the top 5 when this is all said and done. So the Deontay trade, based on where the Panthers are going to finish, likely inside of the top 5. And based on where the Baltimore Ravens finish. And I think a lot of people are walking away from the Ravens because they lost to the Browns. The AFC North, I think it is fair. So we've had this conversation when we talked about Cincinnati, Cleveland, when we've talked about Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. That division, maybe more than any other division in football, that division is a throw the record books out the window division when teams get together. It just 12-win teams lose to 3-win teams all the time in that division. Never makes sense. A lot of people walking away from Baltimore because they lost to Cleveland with Jameis Winston as the starting quarterback. Well, as I have said a number of times, do not, ladies and gentlemen, do not overreact to one win on the back of a quarterback who is getting his first action of the year, because there's no tape on the guy. Teams are learning the guy as they go, especially when it's the first start for a quarterback under a new regime and a new game plan, because you never know how that quarterback is going to respond to that particular game plan. And I think Carolina Panther fans better than anybody else know the coordinator, the game plan a quarterback plays in can have a great influence on the success or failure of said quarterback. Am I right, Baker? Very clearly. So
I thought you were talking about Andy Dalton.
And Andy Dalton and Sam Darnold and a litany of other quarterbacks. So I'm not going to sit here and go, Baltimore, very overrated. They lost to Cleveland. They lost to Cleveland with a starting quarterback who's got some talent in him. We know that. Making his first start in the Stefanski regime. Don't overblow this. Baltimore still were good. No, by the way, Baltimore now has Deontay Johnson, a sideline receiver, which they did not have. The Baltimore Ravens have the third fewest outside the number receptions in the NFL right now. Now they got a sideline guy.
You're saying it wrong. It's Baltimore lost to Cleveland.
Okay, that's fair. I can't push back on that because they did. So Baltimore likely going to finish. Zoe, is it fair to say inside the last 8 teams selecting in the NFL draft in 2025? I think inside the last 8. I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm not saying AFC Championship. I'm saying they're drafting with the playoff teams this year.
More than likely, yeah. I mean, they make the playoffs just about every year, don't they?
Yeah. So drafting likely somewhere between, I would say, 25 and 32. And the Carolina Panthers drafting somewhere between 1 and 5. This could be a move of anywhere between up 1 pick. This may move them up 1 pick. If the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl and the Carolina Panthers end up with the worst record in the NFL, both which are very realistic possibilities, this could move the Panthers up 1 pick. Realistically, this is going to move them up somewhere between like 3 and 8 picks maximum.
So this is not a fire sale because you can't have one in a place where you don't have a lot of pieces to get rid of. This is like, do they have any more moves that they can make to get more draft picks?
I mean, maybe you could trade Adam Thielen at this point, right? You could probably trade away Miles Sanders if you wanted to. But again, you also got to keep in mind, you're trading the contracts with them and you're trying to do so in week 9 of the NFL season. There's not as much value as you'd like, but we'll see what matters to them. So this trade of Deontay Johnson is moving you up either somewhere between 1 pick and 8 picks. I don't think it's going to be much more than 8 picks because I don't think Baltimore's missing the playoffs and Carolina may not win another football game.
Is that admitting to a mistake, bringing him in, or do you think maybe he's a problem in the locker room?
Nope, neither of those things. It's neither of those things. It's the fact that Deontay Johnson's contract's up at the end of this year. While he has said that he is interested and willing to and actually preferred to stay in Carolina at the end of the year, you are going to have to pay Deontay Johnson top flight National Football League wide receiver money for a guy that, whether his fault or not, and I don't think that it is, for a guy that has not proven that he is worth that money. And granted, it may just be because he plays on a bleep football team right now. I don't know how many wide receivers, but could prove that they are a top flight wide receiver inside of this offense on this team right now. I will say one of the things that makes it, I think, more of a sensical move is that Xavier Legette looks like he has taken leaps forward in the what's he got, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks? I mean, he's finding pay dirt now, right? And Deontay Johnson is built to do, Xavier Legette is built to do what Deontay Johnson does. So here were, I think, your options. You had 3 of them if you're Carolina when it came to Deontay Johnson. Option number 1, you do nothing with the guy. You get to the end of the year, and either he decides, no, this team sucks, I want out, or you decided it's not worth paying Deontay Johnson, and he walks away for nothing. as a free agent. He just leaves. He just walks away for nothing. Option number 2 is you get to the end of the year and Deontay Johnson decides he wants to stay, and the Carolina Panthers decide that they want him to stay, but now you have to pay him wide receiver 1 money, which is already going to be scarce next year because you're going to have a top-flight rookie you got to take care of. You got a handful of other free agents, etc. You're going to have to bust out a significant part of your cap on a guy that, respectfully to Deontay, we don't know if he is a top-flight receiver because whether he is or isn't, hard to do that in this offense. Or option number 3, which was you do what you did, which was you trade him for whatever the hell you can get. From what we understand, there were 2 maximum, including Baltimore, 3 teams that were interested in Deontay Johnson. So it wasn't like it was, wasn't like Amari Cooper, where there were 16 teams in the league that were willing to make a move for Amari Cooper. You had 3. And realistically speaking, based on the numbers and the performance, you really weren't going to be able to get much. So what you've done here is you have significantly decreased your cap. Not necessarily in terms of what Deontay Johnson was making this year. You decreased the cap based on what Deontay Johnson would have made next year if you re-signed him, and you moved up 8 or 9 picks to get there. Is that a lot? No. It's not a lot. But you know what it does do? It potentially jumps you out front of teams like the Chiefs and the Bills and the 49ers and the Ravens. Teams that have done great job drafting players in recent years, and it gives you the opportunity to maybe select a guy in the 5th round that maybe falls down the board that you really like. Or a guy that, the Chiefs have great interest in, and you go, well, if the Chiefs like him, like they did Xavier Worthy, maybe that's the right call, right? And you go get that guy. It presents some opportunities, and you decrease your cap space from not having to sign Miles Sanders to a wide receiver 1 contract. I know that it doesn't move the needle much. It shouldn't move the needle much. It's not exciting. But what I am saying is you shouldn't be depressed about it. Yeah, you lose Deontay Johnson for the rest of the year. Can I be honest with you? It's time to tank. You should punt this season.
Or just play like you're doing. And
or do nothing different at all and let it happen naturally. For sure. Hey, speaking of punting, that's what the Dodgers did last night. The Dodgers didn't lose this game because the Dodgers are a worse baseball team somehow in one night. They lost the game because they didn't try to win it. They didn't have any need to. And I'm absolutely okay with that. I'll tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Salvation Army.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. let's see here. Morning, gents. How many days? Nobody cares, Wesley. Nobody cares. How about Freddie Freeloader? Old Freddie Freeman, 4 games, 4 jacks, and he had 2 in the last 2 games when he played in the World Series with the Braves. That is 6 consecutive World Series games where Freddie Freeman has gone yad.
Sports on the Rob Brown Show.
So this is very interesting. The New York Yankees get a win in the World Series. There is a breath in Brooklyn remaining. 11-4, your final last night. The question is this the LA Dodgers allowing the Yankees a little bit of life? The Yankees taking advantage of it, and it being a mistake by the Dodgers, or it being a calculated risk that makes sense for the LA Dodgers? And the answer is, I don't know. That we'll know until tonight. I can venture a guess. I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Dodgers are too much better of a baseball team. Last night, the Dodgers threw, although they only used, I think 4 pitchers in that contest yesterday evening. Last night, the Dodgers effectively threw a bullpen game. They went with Kasparius up front, then they went to Hudson, Knack, and Honeywell. It was a bullpen game, is what it was, and nothing more. Here's the question you have for the LA Dodgers. In allowing the New York Yankees to have the most successful night that they have had at the dish in the World Series, they had 9 hits last night, 3 of them home runs. You had Gleyber Torres, who had a 3-run shot. Anthony Volpe hit a grand slam that kind of solidified the win for the Yankees. And you had a home run from Austin Wells, the catcher, as well. And that Wells home run was obviously at that point, hits it in the 8th inning, already felt like the game was over at that point. And I think it was. I think the Dodgers had decided late in that contest that they were going to punt this game. We're not worried about this game. We're not going to throw anybody at you. The reason they only used 4 pitchers in a bullpen game was because they wanted to keep their relievers and their closer /Zers fresh for tonight's game. They want to put it away tonight. There was no sense last night, in my opinion. There was no sense last night, especially considering in order to win that game, obviously a must win with the Dodgers up against elimination, the Dodgers had to throw everybody last night that was worth a damn. Aside from Luis Gil, who had a not great night, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, all earned, just 1 strikeout, gave up a pair of clubs, including one to Freddie Freeman. They went with Holmes. They went with Hill. They went with Leiter. They went with Weaver. They went with all their best arms, and they had to go with all their best arms to keep themselves alive. And the Dodgers knew that. So the Dodgers said, you're going to go with all of your best arms. We're just going to go with some arms. We're just going to go with some guys that are on this roster. And we're going to go with some guys who are on this roster for one reason and one reason alone, so that all of the guys on this roster are available tomorrow night to put your asses away. And I'm honestly fine with that. I know there's a lot of people who do not believe in punting on a game. You're up 3-0. You've got to take 1 of 4. So here's my question. Do you sprinkle your talent across a couple of games and hope that your offense is good enough to get you one of them? Or do you, and this is the belief I'm of, do you hang out? Do you allow the Yankees a Pyrrhic victory? A victory that while they walk away from the battlefield with a victory, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter, right? A Pyrrhic victory, a victory where one team wins the battle, but by winning that battle, it makes it more difficult to win the war. And I think that is the answer. But with that comes one big risk. And that big risk is, even though they know what you are doing, and what you are doing in that game was punting. We're going to throw the absolute bottom of our depth chart at you. And we don't care if you score 50 runs. The risk that comes with punting and allowing the Yankees to record a victory, Pyrrhic or not, in this situation is that you allow them to find something that they did not have after game 3. Confidence. Confidence at the plate. This is a team whose best player, Aaron Judge, was 1 for 3 last night. I believe that makes him now 2 for 15, 3 for 15. He did not strike out last night, which is nice. He still has 7 Ks through 4 games in this World Series. Not as bad as it was going into this game where he had 7 Ks through 3 games. That's a much worse look. Not that this is dramatically better. But I think the concern, the risk you run is that you allow them to find some confidence. You allow them to go, oh, that's how we hit a baseball. I've had this conversation with Cody Decker, former Major League Baseball player and my co-host on Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network. I've asked this question of him before. The concept of a slump, right? The concept of a slump where you have just lost your mojo. And he said, and we had this conversation last year. I don't even remember the player we were talking about, but we were talking about a specific player that a lot of us had an MVP vote bet on, who had kind of disappeared late in the season. And I said, what do you do to get out of a slump like this? And he said, you want to know what the best portrayal of a slump is, of a slump buster is? He said it's Major League. He said it's the Jobu scene from Major League. It's President Palmer in Major League. It's Pedro Serrano. He said, you watch that movie and here's Pedro Serrano, who's a slugger, big time hitter, stud, can't touch the baseball. And he said sometimes it's just a matter of something being different. It's something being different to allow you the mental trick of fooling yourself into believing everything's good now. It's getting out of your own head. And sometimes, even if you know that you are tricking yourself, it still works, right? With Pedro Serrano, it was looking at Jobu and saying, you, Jobu, I do it myself. One of the greatest scenes from one of the greatest baseball movies of all time. Here's the thing. What I worry about for the LA Dodgers, and that in going with the bullpen game last night, with throwing the back end of their rotation, guys that you likely will not see again in this series unless things go very sideways in game 5 or 6 of this series. By throwing these guys and having them go like Kanak went 4 innings. That's more than he works. By throwing these guys and effectively saying, we don't care if you win by 20, we're going to keep our arms fresh so that we can get you in game 5. The situation that you have created here is that the Yankees went to bed last night going, we're back. We're back, you sons of you-know-whatsers. We're back. That's how we do it. That's how we play New York Yankee baseball. And in doing so, now the Yankees aren't just going to be able to do that against Kasparius and Hudson and Kanak and Honeywell. Now they're going to be able to do it against the top of the rotation for the Dodgers. Now all of the sudden, they're not going to be scared by the 1 and 2 guys because we're reset now. We're reset now. We are going back for game number 5 to the top of the rotation for the Dodgers. Jack Flaherty, who threw a gem in game 1 for the Dodgers, is back on the bump tonight against Garrett Cole. Now, Garrett Cole was throwing a gem too, 84 pitches. Remember, you go back to what I talked about in game 1. I said I think the Yankees, because they are not as good, they are a very good baseball team, but they're just not as talented consistently as the Dodgers, meaning that the pressure of winning the series is on Aaron Boone. It's not on, it's on the players. They got to go execute and perform. They can't make mistakes. But the pressure is on Aaron Boone. He has to manage this series perfectly. He has to get every decision that he makes right. Every decision he gets wrong makes it that much more impossible for the Yankees to knock off a team that is respectively just better than they are, right? They are the best team in the American League. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. And so I go back to that Garrett Cole performance in game 1. 84 pitches, dicing up the Dodgers, and Aaron Boone yanks him. And I get why you wanted to yank him. You wanted as much rest on that arm for game 5 as you could get. See, the problem was, first off, there was no guarantee there was a game 5. Although it looked likely because, again, bullpen games in the World Series ordinarily result in a loss if the other team can go 4 pitchers deep, and the Yankees did.
Everything you said this entire morning has made it sound like this game was thrown so they could get it to another game.
Not thrown. I think the Dodgers punted. I think the Dodgers said, we are not upset. If we win the game, great. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to find ourselves in the 5th inning in a 1-run game and throw out there our best middle reliever and our best closer, which makes them unavailable for game 5 on Wednesday night. We're not going to throw them out there to get into this batting contest when we know our ace has to come up. And by the way, because the Yankees are against elimination, they threw every great arm that they have last night, which means in tonight's game, the Dodgers have their ace and they have every reliever and every closer available to them. The Yankees have half of theirs.
So no chance that this is not a ploy by the powers that be to make sure that they get another game out of the series, which reportedly has some of the best ratings in a long time. I'm just saying, conspiracy-wise, it just seems like, well, we just won't send our best out.
No, I think this is a management decision. I will say a couple of things.
It would be a management decision.
No. Management, I'm talking in Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers. This is a Dave Roberts decision. This is a strategical decision. This is a decision that he made to say, we're going to have the fresher bullpen and every position on Wednesday, and the Yankees are going to be exhausted. They threw the best they got yesterday off the bump. Their pitching staff is going to be exhausted when we play this one tonight.
Why not do that yesterday?
Because you would have put your best up against their best. And if you lose that battle, then you come into game 5 without your best against them without their best. Why not set up a scenario where I come into game 5 with a lineup that's hitting better than the Yankees were, at least up until last night? And again, they did it against the worst pitchers on my team. Now tonight, I got all my big guns. I got my best. I got my guys that can hurl bleep missiles at you, and you don't.
So I guess I don't understand about baseball. So a starter can't pitch 2 days in a row.
A starter's not going to pitch 2 days in a row. Middle relievers and closers can, which is why in the season
there's no rule to stop them from pitching 2 days in a row.
Correct, but you're never going to have a pitcher that goes out there and throws even more than 30 or 40 pitches who is going to have his best stuff the next night. That is why if you throw a middle reliever or a closer out there, this one I've had this conversation many times where a guy will come out, like the best closer on a team will come out, pitch the 9th inning, and then the game ends up in extra innings, and that closer, who is the best you got, doesn't come back out for the 10th. People go, why isn't that guy out there for the 10th? Well, because if he only throws the 9th, he can come back out and pitch tomorrow and the day after that. But if you have him throw 2 or 3 innings, you've cooked him for 3 or 4 days and he's unavailable. You're taking a bomb out of the arsenal for the sake of a game instead of the benefit of 3. Because here's the other part. If the Dodgers don't win tonight, if the Yankees take 2 in a row, and now we got a 3-2 series. Now it's a real series going back to L.A. for 2 more that the Dodgers got to have one. Not only have you lost that game, but now you've burned your best against their worst. And when you go back to L.A., we're back to ground zero in terms of what these rosters are. And that benefits the Yankees, not the Dodgers. This is a move that is not just about tonight's Game 5. It's about being as best prepped as you can for Game 6 and Game 7 as well. This is the right call from Dave Roberts.
All right. Seems a little fishy to me. It's also amazing how a guy can take a play off and get benched. But in baseball, you only have to work every other day if you're a pitcher, or like every 2 or 3 days.
I would bet you, great one, if you and I went out tomorrow, down to Burns, and we went out to the baseball diamond, and I had you throw 30 pitches, your arm's worthless for 3 days. Now, these guys are throwing the ball at 102 miles an hour. You're not touching 50. They're throwing 103.
Speaking of 50, I'm over 50 and highly arthritic. 5 pitches and I'm done.
Right.
So, it's not.
The point is, you think in baseball pitchers are wusses? Says, and I say this respectfully, you don't know how arms in the Major League Baseball work.
I didn't say that, you did.
They can't throw 2 days in a row without taking a break.
Again, there's that voice. I think there's conspiracy. I think they just wanted another game for the ratings. That's what I think.
That's wonderful. No, that's not how baseball works.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same strategy happens in the NLCS. It happens in the NLDS. It happens in the wild card if necessary. This is baseball 101. This is elementary level baseball. This was the right call from Dave Roberts, not a conspiracy. It's how do we give ourselves the best position to win in Game 5? And the answer is keep our best fresh while they are exhausting theirs. It's just baseball strategy, and it's beautiful strategy from Dave Roberts. We'll talk more World Series later on in the show after Lonzo does this Sports Flash.
Also, the commissioner, may have called and said, hey, we need at least 1 win in New York.
Let me go get you Chris's tinfoil cap.
All right. I helped them make it. The Indianapolis Colts have announced their benching starter quarterback Anthony Richardson in favor of veteran Joe Flacco for this week's game against Minnesota. The benching comes after Richardson told reporters he checked out of a loss against Houston because he was tired. Richardson was 10 of 32 for 175 yards after starting 2 of 15 and has a season completion rate of 44.4%, the 5th worst in a player's first 6 games since 2000. Carolina Panthers have traded recently acquired wide receiver Deontay Johnson to the Baltimore Ravens, along with a 6th-round selection in return for Baltimore's 5th-round pick next year. Johnson joined Carolina from Pittsburgh during the offseason and now joins Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman in the Ravens' passing attack. Still probably won't win the playoff game. Tune in this Friday at 7 as the Burns Rebels head to Boiling Springs to take on the Bulldogs. It's Burns versus Boiling Springs right here on The Fan, Upstate. Yeah, just talking. Don't talk much during baseball segments because I'm not a baseball guy. I'm not going to pretend like I am just to get airtime. Sounds fishy to me. Just saying. Zach, there's no way that could ever happen in a million years. I know it's early, dude, but you know, there you go. There you go. You fixed it. I'd rather be caught on fire, Zach. We'll never root for Baltimore because Art Modell is a coward and he moved the Cleveland Browns in the middle of the night and changed their name. My best friend is a Browns fan and solidarity. Yeah.
And here we go. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you. Happy Wednesday morning. The midweek edition rolls on. Got plenty to get into. A lot of college football as we turn our eyes towards the weekend. Big games for Clemson and South Carolina this weekend as the Louisville Cardinal try to get the upset against the Clemson Tigers. South Carolina's got one of the heavy hitters of the Southeastern Conference, the Texas A&M Aggies, a team undefeated. In fact, the only undefeated team in SEC play, not overall, but in SEC play, are the Ags of Texas A&M coming to Columbia. And it is a night game at Willie B. We're going to talk about that one a little bit later on in the show. We've got to get a little bit of basketball in here with the NBA rolling because we had some big news yesterday, including a pop culture phenomenon I'm actually very excited about coming up later on in the show. All that and more, but it is 7:02 and a half in the morning. You've got less than 58 minutes until you got to get your bootay up into the office to do some WORK, a little worky work on a Wednesday, but we all know what's really going to happen. You're going to go in, you're going to respond to those passive-aggressive emails from the boss. You're going to go deal with that TPS report that you've got to fill out today. And then you're going to walk down the hallway. You're going to head to the break room. You're going to grab that styrofoam cup. You're going to fill it up with water, and you're going to use it as your excuse to talk sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to talk sports with your coworkers, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you got to know what's going on in the world of sports, ladies and gentlemen, you've come to the right place. You've come to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
I do. First bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
And it's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this AM. Let us dive right in with item number 1. Talked about it a little bit to end the first hour of the show, but obviously it's the biggest thing that happened in sports on a Tuesday night. The LA Dodgers were up 3-0 and trying to sweep the New York Yankees. They did not. 11-4 your final last night. The Yankees over the LA Dodgers. That brings the series a smidge closer. The Dodgers obviously lead the series now 3-1. Clay Holmes was awarded the win last night for the Yankees. He went 1.1 innings, gave up no hits, no runs, struck out 2 of the 4 that he ultimately retired. Luis Gil for the Yankees went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs earned by the Dodgers against Luis Gil, but they would not score again against Hill, Holmes, Leitner, Weaver, or Meza through the final few frames of the contest. 8 Ks recorded by the Yankees last night, just 4 by the Dodgers. But as we talked about in the last segment, this was a punt game for the LA Dodgers. They said, look, if we can beat you just by hitting the ball against your best pitchers, then we'll take it. But we're not going to throw our best last night. In fact, quite the opposite. The Dodgers went ultimately with what, even though it was only 4 pitchers that took to the bump last night, ultimately was a bullpen game for LA. Dave Roberts said, we are going to keep the best arms in relief. We're going to save them up for a game 5, try to win this thing in New York City before we got to take it back out to the left coast for game 6 and game 7. The Dodgers gave it a run. Freddie Freeman homered again, his 4th of the World Series in as many games, dating back to Freddie Freeman's World Series run with the Atlanta Braves. That is now 6 consecutive World Series games that Freddie Freeman has gone in. That is an MLB record. Had a first inning shot off of Luis Gil with 1 on. That was a 2-out dinger. Will Smith in the 5th inning would get another home run off of Gil. That would be the end of Gil's night at that spot. He got yanked out of that contest at that spot in the 5th inning. The score was already 5-2. After the shot from Will Smith, it was 5-4. Felt like maybe the Dodgers win this damn thing anyway, but the Yanks responded in the bottom of the 6th with 1 more. And then in the 8th, they put a 5 spot up to bring the score to 11-4. The Dodgers at that point effectively waved the white flag and said, we done, we going home, back to the hotel. We're going to rest up. We're going to come back and we're going to win this thing tomorrow. The Dodgers are going to be favored in this evening's contest. I don't have the line in front of me, but I'd be willing to bet it's going to be something to the tune of like minus 145, minus 150. Because the Dodgers have saved their best. And I'm not talking about Jack Flaherty, their ace, who will be, for the second time in this World Series, up against the Yankees' Garrett Cole, one of the best pitchers in the game. Listen, I expect the first 5 under to cash, right? These 2 guys are going out to the bump knowing the pressure that's on them. Jack Flaherty does not want to allow this series, to go to a game 6 back out in LA. On the flip side, Garrett Cole knows if he does anything but pitch with wondrous effectiveness, he won't get a chance to pitch in a game 7, which is on the table if the Yankees win this. They don't win this, obviously, the series is over, and everybody in New York pinstripes goes home very sad. Where I mean the best is available is in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, where the Dodgers have saved up their dudes and the Yankees had to burn their dudes last night just to have a chance to win this with their B team relievers and closers tonight. So I do suspect and expect that the Dodgers will be crowned your 2024 World Series champions and win that series 4-1 this evening. Let's go to item number 2. Trade happened yesterday for the Carolina Panthers. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson, who was acquired from the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, is now no longer a Panther, but he does return to the AFC North, where he will join Lamar Jackson, Rashad Bateman, and the rest of the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens agreed in principle to trade for Deontay Johnson and a 6th round pick in return for Baltimore's 5th round pick. Now, we have talked about this one earlier in the show as well. I'm not upset about it. A lot of y'all are, and I get it. I understand it. A lot of you are very upset about it, and the reason why is understandable. The Panthers are going to be picking somewhere in the top 5 spots, and I think it's probably closer to 1 or 2 than it is 4 or 5. The Ravens are absolutely, without question, a playoff team, likely to be divisional winners at this point. I think they're like minus 250 or something to win the division. They're winning that division. So if the Ravens end up in the playoffs, they will likely be drafting, if I had to speculate on it today, they will likely be drafting somewhere between like 25 and 32. The Panthers will be drafting somewhere between 1 and 5, meaning that if we are as absolutely optimistic as possible in terms of how many spots you can move up, if the Panthers jump from 5 up to 25, you're going up, how many is that? 13 draft picks. So you're moving up 13 spots. At the absolute best, you're moving up 13 spots. There is a realistic chance that you move up 1 spot with this trade, that you move from the first pick in round 6 to the last pick in round 5, that you just swap 1 spot with Baltimore. Anything in between those two is a realistic possibility. So why make this trade? You make this trade for one reason, because you weren't planning on bringing Deontay Johnson back next year. Deontay said that he would like to re-sign with the Carolina Panthers, and that's nice. That's a nice sentiment. The problem is Deontay Johnson, as much as he wanted to sign with the Carolina Panthers, would have gotten some pretty immense offers from the rest of the National Football League to get him to change jerseys. And the Cats would have had to pay Deontay Johnson top flight wide receiver money. Right now, Deontay Johnson is not a top flight wide receiver. Now, that's not to say he doesn't have the talent to be, the ability to be. That's not to say if you were grading out wide receivers on paper, Deontay Johnson isn't on the first sheet. He is. Problem is, in this offense, nobody's got the ability to show what they are genuinely capable of. Nobody on this offense. I've been saying this about Bryce Young for 2 years, and some of y'all been all up in my business about it. Nobody on the roster that is assembled has the opportunity to show how good that they can be, meaning you were going to have to pay Deontay Johnson, take the risk that maybe this is all he's capable of. We can't know. So at least you got something for him, because the other option was to let him walk in free agency, get nothing. If nothing else, you have guaranteed you're moving up somewhere between 1 and 13 spots in the middle of next year's draft, between the 5th and 6th rounds. Okay. Like, okay. It's not ideal, but okay. Let's go to item number 3. I don't know how much this is cared about in terms of what it means for the footballing. What I do find interesting about this is just the overall discussion. Anthony Richardson is being benched by the Indianapolis Colts in favor of long-term veteran Joe Flacco. Now, this is directly connected, as Adam Schefter explains, to Anthony Richardson's press conference revelation, where he said, yeah, I checked myself out because I was tired, dog.
You know what the amazing part about this is this morning I got a call that this was happening. And I reached out to a couple of people to confirm, and I spoke to some people on other teams. And when I said, hey, my sense is that they're benching Anthony Richardson, the reaction I got from some very smart people was like, of course they're benching him. Like it wasn't even an option.
Okay.
I couldn't believe how strong people were. And so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, this is happening. And, you're waiting for confirmation. They met as an organization this morning to go over it. They obviously broke up those meetings. My understanding is that they have informed each quarterback, and now the move has been made. And it's a seismic move on a lot of levels, because you're benching the former 3rd overall pick, who now becomes the second quarterback in that draft class to be benched, Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, now Anthony Richardson. And yes, Pat, I do think it has to do with the tap out. Now, I don't know that.
I mean, they're not likely to say it's because of the tap out, and they've got the built-in excuse of Anthony Richardson kind of stank up the field against the Texans. They were still in a position to win the game, but he stank up. He started 2 of 15. He ended 10 of 32. Y'all, if Bryce Young ended a game 10 of 32, some of y'all would be calling this show having an on-air aneurysm in response to it. That's what happened. He just stank up the football field. But also the tap out thing. And if you haven't heard this story yet, congratulations on the ability to be completely disconnected from the world. It must be nice. After a third down where he had to scramble, was taken down after scrambling for like 70 yards to gain 0, but not lose any. Anthony Richardson quite literally did the tap out, hit the side of the helmet. Coach, come get me. I need a breather. And in the press conference after the game, a media member said, hey, can you explain to us why you tapped out of that game? And his response was, yeah, I had just done a lot of running and I was tired. I needed a breather. I told Shane, I don't think I can run this next play. I need a break. The reaction to that has been not great if you're Anthony Richardson. My dude has been getting slammed for that decision. And I understand it. I'm going to play, coming up in a little while, Pat McAfee's response. You know, Pat's a big Colts guy. That's where he played his ball. Big Colts guy. He was not happy about it either. So I'm not shocked by this. I think that as much as many of you believe that the truth is to the contrary, football dudes are still in charge of football. Football dudes are still in charge of football. And football dudes are looking at this and going, hey, man, you know, if a wide receiver taps out and takes a break, it's one thing. That guy's got a lot of running to do. If a running back after a hard run taps out, that's one thing. That guy's got a lot of running to do. Quarterback's a different position. It's a different spot on the football field. Now, most NFL rosters have one quarterback that is capable of being a consistent winner in the NFL. You need to stay out there and fight through that. It's a different thing. And I will tell you that even look out for the players first. Players' well-being is always my concern. Liberob the woke warrior, as I have been labeled on this show. Even I was like, nah, AR, that's not the move. That's not the play, my guy. That's not the spot that you do that. You know, if you're up 35 points, maybe you can say, I needed a breather for one play after saving my team from giving up a bunch of yards. But not in that spot, especially against that team, the Houston Texans, which is an AFC South match, and especially in a game that is quite literally for the division lead. Can't do it. We'll talk more about that coming up in a little while, because the reaction to the Colts benching of AR, I find it very interesting from y'all, the people.
He's a man of the people.
So we'll talk about that a little bit more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you, this is the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around.
Wow, that wasn't bad.
Let's talk about this Anthony Richardson thing here for just a minute. If you missed it, get here earlier, all right? We're on from 6 till 10. Don't miss a minute of it.
Don't be mean with them. I mean, people tune in at different times of the day.
No, you should set your alarm at 6 a.m., and you should have the station on till 10 a.m. at the minimum. And then you should stick around for Writer Than You from 10 to noon, and Jim Rome from noon to 3, and Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson from Cole Bryson. I think Cole Bryan's a country guy. Artist, I think.
He is now. I mean,
yeah, he is now. Diesel and Cole Bryson from 3 to 7. And then, of course, overnight.
Cole Bryson could be a country name, too.
Either one. I mean, Cole Bryson is a country name. You've met Cole.
Diesel and Cole Bryson is a country band.
For sure. For sure.
One of the most famous duos in country.
Be here from 6 till 10 every morning. All right. That's the point. So this Anthony Richardson thing. The Colts announced yesterday that they are benching Richardson for at least this week's game as the Colts take on the Minnesota Vikings. And Schefter, well, I know we play it, but I'll let you hear it again. Shefty gave what he found out yesterday about the decision to bench Anthony Richardson.
You know what the amazing part about this is this morning I got a call that this was happening. And I reached out to a couple of people to confirm, and I spoke to some people on other teams. And when I said, hey, my sense is that they're benching Anthony Richardson, the reaction I got from some very smart people was like, of course they're benching him. Like it wasn't even an option.
Okay.
I couldn't believe how strong people were. And so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, this is happening. This is happening. And, you're waiting for confirmation. They met as an organization this morning to go over it. They obviously broke up those meetings. My understanding is that they have informed each quarterback, and now the move has been made. And it's a seismic move on a lot of levels because you're benching the former 3rd overall pick, who now becomes the 2nd quarterback in that draft class to be benched, Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, now Anthony Richardson. And yes, Pat, I do think it has to do with the tap out. Now, I don't know that.
So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with, yeah, they benched him because he tapped out of a football game. It's.
See, I think they were looking for a reason because he's not playing well. And this is the best way to do it without fan outrage.
I mean, what would be the outrage? They went 2 of 15 to start the game, finished 10 of 32 for 175 yards.
I agree, but if you're a diehard fan, you don't want that guy benched because that's your future, supposedly. But they have a reason to do it now, and no one can say anything about it other than, yeah, I get it.
I get what you're saying. Here's what I'll say. If I'm a diehard fan, if I'm a diehard Colts guy, you know who is Pat McAfee? We'll come to him here in just a minute. If I'm a diehard Colts guy, and my guy taps out, and again, you all know me. I hope that most of you in the Armada have been with me and with the show for enough time at this point that you know some things about me. One of the things that you will know about me, as I have been with NIL and the transfer portal, and as I usually am when CBA deals come up, I'm a player first guy. All right, I am always going to be in support of the guys who lace them up and play because, as has been pointed out by me lots of times, very few of you tune in for the owners' meetings every year. Very few of you tune in for the coaches you tune in to watch football players play football. They're the ones who provide the product that matters to us. All right. Now, the owners run the league. They're the ones that have the investment, yada, 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 yada. But the guys are who we turn into play. So I am always team players first. And as I said yesterday, if you missed the segment, go back and listen to it. All of our segments are available. All of our hours and highlight segments, including this one, are available wherever major podcasts are found. Just search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. Dale Earnhardt Jr. told the story on a podcast this week of his course of treatment for a concussion that he had. Basically, his brain doctor said, hey, man, I need you to go put yourself out there. I need you to go into real life situations that have a lot of stimuli, and we need to see how your brain reacts to those things after the concussion. And Dale said, I was really uncomfortable with that because, I was on the shelf. I couldn't drive, and I didn't want my team and the fans to see me out hanging out at concerts and walking around the grocery store when I was telling them, hey, I'm not well. I can't drive right now. My head ain't right. So I did a whole segment where I set up the fact that, when athletes come out and say, I ain't right, we should believe those athletes until we have a reason not to. Okay? We should believe those athletes until we have a reason not to. Except Anthony Richardson. That's not a great look. That's a real good look for a top 4 overall pick and a guy who is supposed to be the future of the franchise, tapping out for a couple of plays because he's tired. He's winded. He's sleepy. It's not a great look. Pat McAfee, Colts fan, played his career there. He responded to it.
It is my obligation, I feel, as a Colts fan, and potentially somebody who could be heard to be like, hey, this ain't it. Now, did everybody else say this ain't it? Yes. Who are all the people that said this ain't it? People that know ball.
That's me.
Okay? Because the quarterback position is different than every other position. So whenever you're a quarterback, the future of your franchise, a person who's supposed to take us back to the winning ways, got drafted number 4 overall. That 4th overall pick we didn't trade for. We earned that. That's how bad our team was. This guy's supposed to be the future, yada, yada, yada. You're not the future of a football team, especially at the quarterback position, if you're choosing to leave the game, choosing to walk off the field because you're tired. So if we don't point that out, I feel like we're doing a disservice to Colts fans. But also, he's quarterback of an NFL football team. Yep. You're a professional athlete, brother.
Big league.
This is how this goes. This isn't youth. This isn't high school. This isn't college where they were not good, okay? They're like, that is not – this is the NFL, brother. And we got a team that is very, very good. And we can go on a run. So when he plays great, it's magical. But there's little things like tapping out that like make everybody lose faith in this guy being a guy because you've never seen somebody that is a guy do that.
Brother.
Caught
that too. Love that. It's the NFL, brother. Now let me tell you something, brother. When you get up on that field and you take a hit It's not about taking the hit. It's about getting back up. It's about checking back into the huddle, brother. It's about looking your brothers in the face, brother. And it's about brothering up. It's about being brothers with your brothers and brothering out to the brother and brother and the brother from the, all right.
I don't have any Hulk Hogan. I mean,
yeah, it's all good.
I mean, other than real American, you know.
And I'm not going to, so it checks out. I think that the whole concept, the whole thought here that has to be talked about. By the way, new sounder.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
Wow. Guess who's going to get to hear that a bunch?
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
The thought here.
I just want to say your clips are all very aggressive.
Oh, where'd my baby seal one go?
The problem is though, is you keep adding so many that you don't remember where they are.
You take the L away. You put a W there, baby. That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long.
I agree with Pat. It is one thing if a running back who has hit the hole and ran into and through the waiting arms of a defender. It's one thing for that guy to go, Coach, I need a breather. I need a play or two. Like I need a second.
Or fat guy touchdowns.
Fat guy touchdowns. My man's over there.
Yeah.
With the Darth Vader oxygen mask on, trying to not freaking die.
And you can see the mask coming off his mouth with every breath. Yeah.
It's all fogged up because he's got that fat guy hot breath going on against the oxygen. That's another thing. For sure, could not agree more. But you're the quarterback. You're supposed to be the guy, and it makes it look like.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't have any issue with the Colts benching Anthony Richardson. I think it's the right play because this is what Lonzo and I would refer to as a teachable moment. This is the moment where Anthony Richardson, as he moves closer to signing or maybe not a contract extension with the Indianapolis Colts in a couple of years, this is a moment where he is being told by the Colts, either you is or you ain't the man. You either is Elvis or you ain't Elvis, as a great man once told me. This is a teacher. This is a moment that you get to either inspire Anthony Richardson to figure it out, Chief, to determine you love football, or to decide that you don't and you move on. Texas said, does EA Sports have the responsibility to lower Richardson's stamina rating in Madden? Yeah, to like a 6. Make it match his jersey number, baby. All right, we'll talk more about this later on in the show. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
Is it possible for more than 3 teams to go undefeated in the conference?
More than 3 teams to go. Well, I mean, you can't have 4 because they play each other. No.
I'm talking about in the ACC because they have so many undefeated.
Yeah. They line up that way.
So then what's the tiebreaker?
We read the list one day. There's a whole bunch of them. It's like opponent winning percentage, and then it's winning percentage of opponents that are common opponents, and then, like there's a stack of 7. And if you go through the first 6 of them, the last one is a coin flip. No, the last one is commissioner decision.
So does the loss to Georgia help Clemson in the case of a tie because of strength of opponent?
No, because it's all conference opponent strength first, right?
Okay. All right. Because there's not that many games left. So, I mean.
flip up the brand here. Flip up the brand because we are joined by the iconic Denton Day. What's up, big dog?
What up, gangsters?
I don't hear a Denton.
I'm not sure he hears us.
Chat, I can definitely hear you guys. You can't hear me?
Not ideal. Hold on, Denton. We're figuring out buttons over here.
No, we're not. We're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
Check. Testing 1, 2.
No, he was talking. We just can't hear
Yeah,
him.
no, I know. I'm asking if we can hear him now.
Can you hear me now?
I do not.
There's nothing. I mean,
Check.
everything looks fine.
Huh.
That is not good.
It doesn't do it. I mean,
No, I get it.
It's not me.
When in doubt, just push all the buttons lots of times and see what happens.
No, I mean, I was just pushing other buttons.
So what do we do here? Do we just roll with it and hope it works when we're on air?
No, because that's not how. I mean, can you hear us? Nod. Okay. You sure nothing's muted on your end? This is okay. I don't know why it's not working then.
Cool.
Put us in our screen where it plays music.
I guess we're about to find out if it works or not.
You maybe need to unmute, even if we have.
Yeah, but again, it's just going to create a feedback loop. We can try it.
Check.
The Rob Brown Show back on the radio. It is the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the globe on the Odyssey app for free. AUDACY. Grab that. Heart the Fan Upstate page, and you can listen to the station 24/7, 365. I advise you to make sure you're listening to the station every single Wednesday at 7:40 a.m. Why? Because we head right up the road to Baltimore, D.C. The man is the king of that entire area, and there's nobody enjoy talking college football with more than the host of College Football Overtime on Sirius XM. Denton Day joins the program. What's up, handsome?
Fellas, how we doing? How's everybody doing?
Hang on. Still don't have audio. Let's try that again. Denton Day, what's up, big dog?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Yeah, that's not going to work. All right, we got a slight technical issue here, Denton. So we're going to I'm going to ask you if you don't mind to reset with that link and reconnect. Make sure everything's working on your end. I think we're going to do the same on ours, and hopefully we'll get Denton Day back up here in just a minute from right now, because I couldn't hear him, and that makes it, and this is true, I've done the research, I've been doing this a long time, I am a professional. Difficult to do an interview when you can't hear the person that you are interviewing. So we'll get Denton line back up here in just a minute to talk a little bit of college sports. Got Penn State, Ohio State this weekend. I was on last night, BetMGM tonight with Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat, and we were talking a little bit about this. Let's try Denton Day one more time here. Great one if you don't mind. Denton, do we have you now, brother?
Do you have me now?
No, still do not. All right, well, this is
damn
not great.
I am contacting engineering to see if an Axia change has happened to the board, because
Stellar.
Yeah.
Why would they tell us about that? Like, why would anybody tell us that they impacted something that would have us? Here's what we're gonna do, Denton. If you'll hang on just a minute, we'll see if we can get this straightened out. We'll get you in here. If not, we'll see if you got time a little bit later in the show, we'll fill you in. If not, we'll make time for you. Because there's no world in which I don't want to talk. You know what, Denton? Do me a favor. That's a great idea from the great one. That's why he's in charge. Denton Day, will you DM me your phone number? I'll just have Alonzo call you and we'll do it on the phone. All right, let's do that. Drop me a DM. We'll get Denton Day on here. So that's why Alonzo's in charge, people, because he comes up with these fantastic solutions on the fly. Denton Day, we'll have him join us here in just a minute here on the phone line. at least make sure we get the chance to talk to Denton Day from Sirius XM, because the dude is the best. The best. Alonzo, I'm going to write it down here and show it to you so that you can make the phone call. There's Denton Day's number off the stream so he doesn't murder me when one of you weirdos calls him out of the blue for no reason. All right. I do want to talk Penn State and Ohio State. I do want to talk about his thoughts on Clemson and Cade Klubnik. I got asked about that last night on BetMGM Tonight by Ryan Horvat and Brad Evans. Horvey asked me, are you being serious when you say that Cade Klubnik could end up in downtown New York City at the end of the year as an invitee to the Heisman Trophy celebration? And my answer was yeah, and I think he proved it this past weekend when they decimated Virginia, and Cade Klubnik was missing like 2 of his top 3 wide receivers in that game and still carved them up. To talk a little bit of that, and who knows what else we're going to get into. I apologize for the stream that you're unfortunately unable to look into the glorious face of one Denton Day, but you get to hear the angelic sounds coming over the airwaves. Nonetheless, on the phone line, the host of Sirius XM's College Football Overtime, the legendary Denton Day. What's up, big dog?
Third time's the charm, fellas. How we doing?
We're going to figure it out eventually. Dude, this is the apt illustration of my entire career, Denton Day. You just figure it out and then pretend like nothing bad happened.
That's how we roll around here, right?
Yes, and has been for 17 years. Denton Day joining us here on the show, brother. All right, let's jump in since we're getting a little bit of a late start. Let's get right at it. No bigger game going on this weekend, arguably, than Penn State and Ohio State. We have been waiting, Denton Day, for the annual James Franklin Craps the Bed special. But somebody said to me earlier this week, isn't that kind of Ryan Day too, right? It's against Michigan all the time. It's in a playoff game here and there, whatever. Isn't Ryan Day like, does Ryan Day escape the same narrative that has haunted James Franklin? Does he deserve to have that same narrative placed on him, Denton Day? And if so, can Penn State win this game this weekend?
Well, at the very least, Ryan Day beats Penn State. So it's like the irresistible force and the immovable object, because he's so good at beating Penn State, but now they qualify as a top 5 team, which Ryan Day historically has not been good at beating. So like, which is going to break first? I look at what happened this past weekend, and Ohio State did not look good against Nebraska. If Dylan Raiola was just a little more accurate, Nebraska wins that game potentially by 2 scores. So you just leaving touchdown passes on the field and settling for field goals, settling for going for it on 4th down, and ultimately coming up with no points. But because of that, it almost feels like Ohio State's going to have a get-right game against Penn State. The question is, 1, is Drew Aller going to play? And then 2, is somebody other than their tight end going to be able to step up? Because from a talent perspective, Ohio State has so many playmakers and Penn State just doesn't. They got a bunch of running backs that are great. They got a tight end that's great. End of list of playmakers. So they need to have somebody step up. You can't just get away with having your tight end do all the heavy lifting in the passing game and the receiving game when you're going up against a team like an Ohio State. So they got their work cut out for them.
Denton Day from Sirius XM and the BetQL Network and other various broadcasting outlets talking college football with us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I'm interested in the James Franklin story, and we'll stick with this game for just another minute or two, Denton Day. I'm interested in this story, and I'm interested in this game because it does kind of feel to me like whichever coach loses this game, be it Ryan Day or James Franklin, that there's starting to be a fan base movement to move on. If James Franklin can't get it done at some point, the Penn State Nittany Lion fan base is going to say we're tired of being the bridesmaid and never the bride. If Ryan Day drops this game, it feels like and Lonzo tried to convince me of this all off season, and I thought he was being a fool. I thought he was being ludicrous and not the cool rapper.
Wow, fool.
Foolish?
Dude,
is that better?
No, that's better.
But it turns out he was spot on. The Buckeye fans are starting to make some noise about Ryan Day not being able to ultimately lead them to the promised land. It just feels to me like one of these coaches, Denton Day, like me after a good glass of coffee in the morning, is going to feel very relieved, and one of them is going to be real problematic.
There's definitely more pressure on Ryan Day because at the very least, James Franklin has been able to survive the fact that he has very rarely beat Ohio State. And with this season, because of the expanded playoff, you can lose this game if you're Penn State and still find your way into the college football playoff with relative ease. Not completely a cakewalk, but you have a relatively easy path that you can maneuver yourself into the college football playoff. Whereas if you're Ohio State, you've already lost 2 games. And it's early November. And then because you've lost 2 games, and both of those 2 games have been in the Big Ten Conference, you're likely not going to be in the championship game. And you could still get into the college football playoff based on the fact that you are the Ohio State Buckeyes. But losing 2 games, none of which are to Michigan, and then you're questioning whether or not you'll be able to get either a decent seed or outright into the college football playoff, that puts way more pressure on Ryan Day. So I think he's the one that's really under the microscope this weekend. It's not James Franklin. It's Ryan Day that has the most pressure.
We are speaking with Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, bring it back down to our area, Denton Day, the University of South Carolina on the bye week. Last week after they went down to Norman, Oklahoma and beat the dog snot up out of the Boomer Sooners, but the degree of difficulty elevated as well as the last conference undefeated team in the SEC, the Texas A&M Aggies, coming to the house, and Aggies playing for a playoff spot right now. I was watching ESPN. They had their playoff predictor earlier with A&M in the 10 spot as a playoff team. Can South Carolina win this game against the Aggies? And if so, what needs to go right?
This is the ultimate trap game for Texas A&M. You're coming off this massive win against LSU. You're feeling good. You're the only unbeaten team in the SEC conference play in the month of November, which feels unheard of. Like, this is the game where they stumble, because as great as Marcel Reed played against LSU, he only threw the ball twice. So if you're South Carolina, force him to throw the football. It was insane to me to sit and watch LSU, of all schools, struggle with a running quarterback. Like, they didn't just have a Heisman Trophy winner last year that excelled at running the football. You would have thought defensively they would have been prepared for something like that, and they just weren't, because Reed ran all over them. For South Carolina, stop him from doing that. It's obviously easier said than done, yes, but stop him from doing that. Force him to throw the football, and if you're forcing him to throw the football, if he beats you, if he balls out throwing with his arm, hey, hats off to y'all. You got yourself a quarterback. But force him to do that. If you can neutralize what he does with his legs, you're going to put yourself in a really good position if you're the Gamecocks to come away with a massive, massive W and a big time upset.
The thought here is, because A&M did still run Connor Wegman out through 18 passes, was only 6 of 18, which was a little bit shocking, despite the fact that LSU does have a good defense. The good news for USC in this spot, Denton Day, is that the defensive line, specifically the ends, Dylan Stewart and co, have been threats to everybody. I mean, they effectively ruined what little bit of efficiency Oklahoma had in their offense last week. The only question I have is, can South Carolina set the edge and keep the A&M Aggies playing between the tackles? And if the answer to that is yes, I think they got a bit of a shot to win this game. I'm not quite ready to say they do, but the good news is the one spot you've got that you just mentioned is a key to the game to stop the Aggies does match up pretty well with South Carolina's best strength.
Yeah, as long as you give yourself a chance. Like, they did a really good job against Bama. They gave themselves a chance, and it just didn't pan out. But if you can give yourself a chance, you just got to hope that eventually the ball is going to fall your way and you're going to come away with a win. So I'm right there with you. Like, if you just got to stop Marcel Reed from being this dynamic runner and a passer.
Denton Day from SiriusXM's College Football Overtime joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I got asked last night on BetMGM Tonight by Brad Evans and Ryan Horvath, is Cade Klubnik genuinely a Heisman Trophy invitee, or has it just been the consequences of playing in what is a not as good as we thought it was going to be top to bottom Atlantic Coast Conference? Denton Day, my answer was he was playing without 2 of his best wide receivers last weekend, and he still went for 300 yards and a couple of tutties through the air in a game where Tony Elliott, who knows Clemson's offense as well as anybody that's not wearing tiger paws and orange shirts, can know that offense. Tony Elliott couldn't do anything to stop Cade Klubnik. I think we watched this kid turn a legitimate corner, and all of a sudden it feels like Clemson is not just a playoff invitee this year, but maybe a bit of a threat to some of the teams that aren't maybe like Texas and Georgia and nobody else.
Yeah, they've been playing well. They've been playing well since that first Georgia game. As far as Cade Klubnik being a Heisman Trophy guy, I got to see it against Pitt. And thankfully, we're going to see him against Pitt in a couple weeks. But the thing that he's still lacking, at least right now, Rob, is that moment. Like, you got to have a moment in a big-time game that makes all of us say, all right, this guy's it. Because the truth is, outside of the Clemson area and like some of Virginia, although not a lot of Virginia, most people aren't watching Clemson and UVA, but everybody's going to tune in to watch that Clemson Pitt game because you know that there's a chance at the ACC title berth on the line in that one. So you got to give it to us against Pitt, and then you got to give it to us in that rivalry game at the end of the season against South Carolina. If he can put together two really good performances in those games, considering that now the landscape is kind of fleshing out to where we have a pretty good feeling Travis Hunter is going to be there. We got a pretty good feeling Cam Ward is going to be there. And we got a pretty good feeling Ashton Genty is going to be there. I've always been a proponent of getting 5 guys into the Heisman Trophy. I hate in recent years they've been like, well, we'll just take 3. Like, F you, take 5. It doesn't hurt anybody to take 5 guys out there to get guys some experience and just to make the weekend more fun. So we got 3 spots taken up. If he can have good performances in either of those 2 or both of those 2 games, send Cade Klubnik up there, get a 4th guy there. I'm all for it.
I love it. I love it. And I don't think you're wrong. Last one I'll ask you about, and that is an opponent, I think, Denton Day, that it is very likely that Clemson is going to see in that ACC title game at the end of the year, and that's the Miami Hurricanes behind Cam Ward. This is a weird team because on one hand, they are very good. On one hand, Cam Ward is absolutely going to be at the Downtown Athletic Club at the end of the year. At one hand, I got Mario Cristobal not taking shots at, but firing whole-ass nukes at Florida State in Florida because Miami runs the state. On the flip side, there's been 2 or 3 games where things got a little squirrely. 2 or 3 games where some folks feel like the refs maybe swallowed the whistle or happened to just blink at the exact right spot at an instant replay to make things go Miami ways. A bit of conspiracy theory amongst everybody in the ACC that's not Miami. Denton Day, is this Miami team good?
They're definitely good. They're 100% good, but I'm excited to see what happens in the ACC championship game when they play someone who is also good. Because right now they haven't played a lot of teams that I would also consider to be good. I mean, maybe you look at Virginia Tech, and by the time we get to the end of November, you're like, you know what? Maybe Virginia Tech is good. But I'm not calling them good right now the same way that Clemson is good. And they don't have to play Pitt or SMU, so they get a little bit of a lucky break in that regard. What are they going to do against Clemson? Because if it looks like it's looked this past weekend against Florida State against Clemson, everything's all good and well. But you're not beating Clemson the way that you beat Virginia Tech or the way that you beat Cal or even the way that you beat Louisville. You're just not going to play them that way. You haven't seen a defense like Clemson is. So I do believe that Miami is good. I don't know if they're great, though. We'll find out if they play and beat Clemson.
Denton Day hosts Sirius XM's College Football Overtime. You can also hear him on 106.7 The Fan and occasionally on the BetQL network when he and I host together and just bring an unreasonable and unacceptable amount of handsome to the airwaves. Denton Day, thank you as always, my brother. Appreciate the time, my guy.
Appreciate it, fellas. See ya.
You got it. Denton Day, go talking college football with us here on the show. Hey, that's 2 hours in the books. It's halftime. The dancing girls in the marching band are going to come out and entertain you. And then Lonzo, when I come back to start the third quarter, we got a lot more to get into as we turn our eyes to the weekend upcoming in collegiate and professional football. That's all after Lonzo rocks your socks. I don't understand that one either with this sports flash.
It's okay, my guy.
Yeah, I'm bad at this. My brain stopped.
In the World Series, the New York Yankees bounced back last night with an 11-4 domination over the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman hit a home run in his 4th consecutive World Series game and 6th consecutive dating back to 2021. New York finished the game with 9 hits and 3 home runs. The Dodgers led the series 3-1. Game 5 is tonight at they not only did they let them, they lead them. That's, it's the same word. Tonight at 8:08. After finishing the 2024 MLB season with 121 losses, more than any other team in history, Chicago White Sox will turn to former MLB player and Rangers associate manager Will Venable to manage next year. Venable will replace interim manager Grady Sizemore, who was expected by many to become the permanent skipper. Tune in this Saturday at noon as the Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. It's Furman versus VMI right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, upstate. be back. We're working on something. Thanks, Chris. Also, we found the sabotage, and we're efforting as to reasons and stuff.
Sabotage is a strong word. Mistake. Mistake.
Sabotage.
Did you see these two Yankees clowns at the game last night? I'm about to go full hater. I'm about to go Dave Chappelle haters ball level of haters. Did you see these two clowns last night? These two jokes of baseball fans. All right. If you missed it, there was a fly ball foul hit out to the right field side of the field. Mookie Betts, the all-star, the guy that coulda, shoulda, woulda been last year's National League Most Valuable Player if it wasn't for Ronald Acuna Jr. doing Ronald Acuna Jr. things. Mookie Betts runs over and goes to catch the ball, which was right at the fence. Mookie puts the ball in the glove as the glove is traveling over the fence. Whether or not it was actually in the stands may or may not be up for debate. It's irrelevant. When Mookie put his glove out and caught the ball, there were 2 Yankees fans that were right there on the fence. One of those Yankees fans grabbed Mookie. When I say grabbed his glove, I don't mean like thought he was going to catch the ball and was contesting the catch with Mookie Betts. I don't mean that he was outstretched arm and like Mookie's glove went in front of his hand and he was squeezing because he thought the ball was going to be there, but he ended up squeezing the glove. No. I mean, dude, two-handed, grabbed Mookie Betts' glove and then started to try to pry the glove with the ball inside of it open. But they weren't done because this fat-faced dork wasn't alone. There was another nerd next to him that then, as Mookie Betts tried to, understandably and inherently, reach with his throwing hand, the ungloved hand, over to where his boy was, he grabbed Mookie Betts' throwing hand and held on to it so that Mookie could not use his throwing hand to secure the ball in the glove that the other dork was trying to pull out of it.
Not afraid to throw. Right by Torres. Betts in the corner. Does he have room? Fights with the fan. And they're going to say that it's an out and fan interference. So an out, one gone in this first. And yeah, Betts has that ball in his glove, and this fan literally tries to take his glove off. Pries the ball out of there. A for effort.
Well, he won't be watching the game much longer.
No, he was not, because very shortly afterwards, Yankee Stadium security made their way down to the front row and said, you, sir, and you, sir, need to walk with us. And they were escorted out of at least the lower concourse. And I assume the game, I will also assume, not just because they committed fan interference, which happens, but because it was the most egregious, ridiculous, out of left field, but actually out of right field, technically, literally, form of fan interference I've ever seen. So I suspect those boys have watched their last game in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, probably ever. So this is a case of liquid courage. Was this premeditated? They seemed perfectly capable of walking and everything when they were escorted out. It didn't seem too upset about it. It just it was weird.
I will start with this. As someone who has been imbibing at sporting events since thou was 21 years old, never once in my life have I ever thought, you know what I'm going to do? Literally assault a professional athlete. That sounds like a good idea. This is not something you do because you're drunk. It's something you do because you're a Class A butthole. This is a New York guy being the primo definition of a New York guy.
You think he was congratulated on his way out?
He was getting hugs from other Yankees fans.
I was seeing stuff, but I don't know if maybe they were disappointed that they knew he was going to miss the rest of the game, or if they were happy with what he did.
I think, and listen, I do my best when capable of it, which is not always. I do my best not to allow the actions of one person within a group to define that group. There's another story going on right now with our New Orleans Saints, where defensive lineman Nathan Shepard rolled up on Justin Herbert. I'm sure all of you have seen the clip at this point. It was gross. It was disgusting. It was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. And I want to be very clear that the actions of Nathan Shepard do not reflect upon the New Orleans Saints or their fans. Most of us think it was gross and don't want him on this football team anymore either. And the fact that Dennis Allen came out yesterday and defended his actions makes me want to fight Dennis Allen's stupid face even more. Okay? So I don't want to assign the actions of these two nerds to all Yankees fans, but there's video of these two clowns being escorted out of Yankee Stadium by Yankee Stadium security. And as they're walking up the stairs from their front row seats that they weren't in anymore, out to the door to exit the concourse, they were getting high fives and hugs from Yankees fans. Now, my favorite part is they didn't do anything. And by anything, I mean impact the game. What they were trying to do, obviously, was to knock the ball out of Mookie Betts' hands so that an out was not recorded. Except for the umpire, who was A, there, and B, not an idiot, saw what happened, ruled it fan interference, and called the out anyway. So they accomplished nothing except getting themselves removed from the stadium, and probably, if I had to guess, banned from the stadium moving forward. Not a great look. Not a great look. I have been watching baseball my whole life. The earliest sporting memories that I have are of watching baseball. Watching baseball with my old man. One of my core memories was my dad taking me to the old, I've told this story, to the old Shalimar Diner to get a vintage 50s style milkshake. And when you get with, like, you know, you get the shake and you get the glass, but then you get the extra aluminum shaker that has the extra milkshake in it. So you get like bonus milkshake. Took me there to watch the Braves. And I assume in retrospect, it was a series that the Braves lost back in the 90s. One of the series the Braves lost back in the 90s. And I assume now, in retrospect, my old man took me there because he knew we were going to lose that series. I didn't know we were going to lose that series because I was a child. And my dad was like, well, let's soften the blow of my man losing his first championship series by at least giving him the opportunity to have a chocolate milkshake to enjoy while he eats that L. Not great. Well, I have been watching baseball since those days, the formative days of one young Rob Brown. And I mean it when I say I've seen a lot of fan interference. And ordinarily what you see is like a fan reaches over the little yellow line out in the outfield because, you know, you're a fan. You're not a pro baseball player. And as I've said to you, I've been to probably...
Well, you are if you bring a glove with you.
Then you're a dork. Don't bring your glove, all right? If you're going to catch the ball, catch the ball. Don't be a dork. I have been to probably, not exaggerating, 85, 90 Major League Baseball games in my life. The overwhelming majority of them in Atlanta, Georgia, across the 3 parks the Braves have played in during my lifetime. But I've been to a game at Fenway Park. I've been to a game at the Juice Box in Tampa. I've been to a game at the old Astrodome. I've been to a game up in Denver, Colorado. I've been to games at a lot of stadiums, like 5 or 6 stadiums. And I can tell you in the nearly 100, if I had to estimate, Major League Baseball games that I've been to, I've never been close to a foul ball or a home run. I think in the 100 games, I had one land in a section that I was in, and it was a big section, right field in Atlanta, Truist Park, just past the Chop House. Yeah, a big, tall section. I was way up in the top, and the ball hit down in like row 1 on a dinger. I get it.
Did you lean anyway?
No, I was not even even close.
All right.
Not even close. Because I'll tell you, not only do I have the bucket list of catch a ball at a major league game. All right. Like, I'm not even ashamed. I want to catch a ball at a major league game. Foul ball, home run, I don't care. I want to catch one. And on top of that, I look forward to all of you sending your kids over to me with their grubby little Cheeto crusted fingers like I'm a kid, give me the ball, to saying, no, I'm 40 and I don't care. I'm keeping this ball. It's my ball. I caught it. My hand stings. I'm keeping this ball. I don't care. Okay. I look forward to that day. I understand that if you were a fan sitting on the fence, regardless of where it is in the stadium, and a baseball comes flying in your direction, whether it is a laser off the lumber or whether it is a sky-high pop fly, it doesn't matter. Your reaction is going to be, oh, catch it, catch it, catch it. For sure, I get that. But there's a difference between the fan interferences I have seen in years gone by, which usually results in the fan, once they realize what they've done, having that shocked, holy, what did I just do face? You know the face that someone makes when they make a mistake they didn't know that they were making, and then they realize the mistake that they have made. You know that face?
Like what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. You've seen that face. That's usually how fan interference
you've
goes.
Probably seen it in the mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've all made mistakes.
All of us have done that dumbass thing.
And you're on your way home or something, go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that.
It's that mistake that you make, and you don't even know you're making it when you make it, but that mistake that you make, and you go lay down that night and you're ready to fall asleep and you're exhausted and tired, and then your brain goes, psst, hey, remember that real dumb thing that you did? We're going to think about that for the next 3 to 9 hours. That mistake, right? Usually you see that mistake on the face of a fan who commits fan interference. Not these guys. No. You know what face I saw on the face of these two guys? Batman, bad guy, henchman. That's what I saw. They know there's no way we win this scenario, but we're going to go after it anyway. My man has got Mookie's glove with both hands, and he is prying that thing open like Mookie's not holding a baseball, but a check for $1 gazillion. And if he can get it out of that security vault that is Mookie's glove, he's set for life. The other guy realizes, oh, my man is trying to assault literally Mookie Betts, and Mookie's about to try to fight him off with the other hand. No, let me stop that. Grabs Mookie by the wrist and prevents him from using his throwing hand from getting in there. I'm not joking. Let's end the jokes there. These people should be charged with assault. It is one thing to reach over the fence and try to catch the baseball. It's maybe even one thing to realize that if you can reach over the fence and touch the baseball, maybe you can goofy, haha, ain't I cute, oops, my bad, knock it away from the defender and spare your team an out. A true, genuine, legitimate, eye-nose ball baseball fan in the moment, I think, would have the wherewithal to recognize, if I can do anything to prevent Mookie Betts from catching this ball, that's an extra out for my New York Yankees in the World Series. I'm going to keep it $1. I might be willing to do that if I'm in a spot to do it. But what these guys did, I genuinely, and when I say I genuinely think, what I mean is, I was watching this game last night, and I texted a buddy of mine who is a police officer down in the Florida Panhandle. And I said, quick question, because he's also a big baseball guy, Cubs fan, as a matter of fact. I texted him, and I said, yo, my guy, quick question. Could this be a crime? Sincerely, not joking, not being funny, not haha, Rob Brown. Genuine curiosity. Could that be charged? And what this police officer friend of mine said to me last night in a text message at 10, whatever it was at night, was, if I saw that happen, I would be willing to make an arrest. And it wasn't the fight with the glove, because that's one thing. He said the second that the second fan reached over and grabbed Mookie's other hand, effectively preventing Mookie Betts from having any defense against this other man who was trying to claw and grab and remove something from him. The minute that other guy grabbed Mookie's wrist to prevent him from defending himself, I would have been fine charging both of them. Now, we did not get specifically into what they would have charged him with, or he was willing to charge him with, but he said, had I seen that, if that happened in a bar or at a place of business or out in public, I would be willing to make a charge against those guys at that spot. That's not okay, man.
Yeah, it's not okay, but these guys would be heroes, especially if the Yankees come back and win the entire thing. For years, yeah, you remember when I did that thing, and because of what I did, it caused the Yankees to come back and be fired up and win for the rest of the way.
It was still an out. Like if that
doesn't
ball,
matter. Doesn't
if
matter.
that ball gets,
if the Yankees come back and win, those guys become cult heroes.
I'm gonna tell you right now, So two things. Number one, the only thing that these guys accomplished technically, like literally, the only thing that they accomplished was they got their ass kicked out of a World Series game. Could you imagine dropping the dimes you got to drop to sit front row on the wall in right field at a World Series game and you got your asses kicked out of the stadium?
Or you can know a guy.
Either way, it doesn't matter. You have World Series tickets to a game in Yankee Stadium and you got kicked out.
My understanding, it costs a lot to live in New York, so probably they probably have the money.
I don't think you understand how much World Series tickets cost. I don't care if you're rich; they're not cheap.
I'm aware
these
that
tickets
it's
on
expensive,
the wall are a few grand, like a few grand,
which is how much it costs to rent an apartment in New York, right?
All right. I don't care if the tickets were free.
All right,
you're on the wall at a World Series game. You are there. I don't care if you're a gazelle. I don't care if you got Bezos money. You're on the wall at a World Series game, and you got your ass kicked out for nothing because the guy was still out. Still out. Didn't impact the game at all. All you did was tick off Mookie Betts. Nothing else. So, I don't know, man. Like, that's a real dumbass move on these two guys' parts. It impacted the game not at all. I'll tell you who can't celebrate them. The Yankees. Like at all. Like at all at all. Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around.
That's where.
No, but push it and see if that's what does it. Because I'd be willing to Occam's razor that.
Hey, put us in a
That's
screen.
it right here.
Hang on, guys. Be right back.
Happen.
Yeah.
That will be the first
We have
place
a
I look.
solution now.
Yes.
Bingo. Bingo.
Or I could get some glue and they could glue the keyboard down right where it is, which would be pretty funny.
I used a hot glue gun last night for the first time since I was in like high school.
You have a science project or?
No, I had a really cool idea to make a. We did our pumpkin carving party last night.
Oh yeah, was it dress up?
No, I'm real glad I didn't because I would have been the only one. I mean, I don't care. I still would have done it, but.
So you used it for your pumpkin.
Yeah. So the plan was I was going to do one of those. You ever seen the decorations? They're like a be like a cauldron, and then it'll have like a floating bottle that has liquid pouring down into it. So I was going to make one of those. You can make those. It's just a clear plastic straw that bends at the top, glue the bottle onto it. You put an air filter or a water jet in the water that blows the water up the straw into the bottle, and then it flows back down over the straw. So I was going to make one that was going to be a jack-o'-lantern, and I was going to make it with a pumpkin spice beer can. So the pumpkin beer was going to flow out of the can down into the jack-o'-lantern infinity style. Except for I got everything I needed. I brought it all the way to this guy's house. I get there, I break out the water pump. And even though the picture on the box is the water pump in an aquarium pumping water, when I open it, it goes, use plastic tubing, do not place filter directly in liquid. And I'm like, then why is the picture on the box of it in liquid? So I couldn't do it. So I literally just poked 2 holes and a mouth in a jack-o'-lantern, and that was it. I was a little bummed out. But I built the whole thing out before I was like, let me read the instructions. Like, can you only submerge so much or whatever? It's like, no, don't put it in water. Well, then don't put a picture on the box of it in water.
Popular mechanics on it. That's just, I mean, like, I'm going to show everybody. That would have been cool, by the way. But
yeah, I was going to, and I'm still going to make that. I just got to get the right pump. The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday next. What a day.
Everything's happening Tuesday.
Everything next Tuesday. Now, there's a bunch of things that are happening next Tuesday. The NFL trade deadline is happening next Tuesday. And then there is something that is much more important happening next Tuesday. It is something that involves all of us. It is something that it impacts all of us. It is something that is going to change the emotional state of a huge part of the country. There is something enormous happening next Tuesday, and it is the first college football playoff rankings come out. Also, there's like an election or something, but the college football playoffs first rankings come out next Tuesday. And
Which is kind of like a preliminary election to a degree, because
I mean, it technically is. Yeah. It technically is the biggest election of the day, you know, because we all care about that. It's big. It's big, and I'm very excited about it. But the NFL trade deadline is next Tuesday, and I think if we have learned anything so far, because right now is usually the time, those handful of days before the games, before the trade deadline, this is usually these next few days where we see a flux of activity, a flurry of activity. This is usually where we see quite a bit of trade moves, or at least rumors getting made around the NFL. And right now there's not. We had the Deontay Johnson trade yesterday. Carolina sends him up to Baltimore along with their 6th round pick next year in return for Baltimore's 5th round pick next year. As we talked about earlier, this is going to basically move Carolina in the middle of the draft, middle-ish of the draft, up anywhere from 1 to maximum 13 draft slots. If Carolina is as far back as possible, which I think is probably drafting 4th or 5th in the first round, and Baltimore is as low as possible, which is obviously winning the Super Bowl and drafting 32nd overall next year, this could move Carolina from, first in the 6th round to last in the 5th round. Moving them up one spot, it can move them from 5th in the 6th round to 25th, 26th, 27th in the 5th round, and move them up 10, 11, 12, 13 spots maximum. But
you think Andy Dalton's thumb will be better before next Tuesday?
I don't think they're trading Andy Dalton.
No, neither do I.
You think they're trading Bryce Young?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Do you think? Because I don't remember the severity other than it being
it was sprained.
a sprained.
But
thumb.
I don't know what, because there's levels of sprained, and I don't know.
You can also bring Jack up and let him be the starter because it's not really going to be much of a difference. They're still not going to win.
Well, and to be honest with you, I'm almost in favor of that because, as I've said, as much as many of you do not like it and do not want it, I think it's tank time. All right. You can go don't win for Quinn. You can go suck for Shador. Whatever you want to go with. Okay.
It doesn't really work. There's got to be something else out there.
It doesn't. It's wonderful alliteration.
Well, I was going to say Philander for Sanders, but that's probably not. That doesn't really.
That's a very different thing.
Yeah, that's not.
Although suck for Shador ain't a whole hell of a lot better than that. Either way.
At least mine kind of rhymed.
Either way, doesn't really matter how it plays out. What matters in this spot is what the Panthers are going to do. Here's the problem. I would absolutely say right now that this is a tremendous opportunity for Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers. And that tremendous opportunity in this spot would be to go fire sale, right? Everybody that you can send out of the franchise that's not a young cat, that has money locked up against the cap next year, I'd send him out. I mean, I'd mean to any contender that needs a guy. O-lineman, D-lineman, linebacker, safety, cornerbacks. Nobody's safe that has any sort of major cap implication on this football team over the next couple of years. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe that impacts my cap negatively next year. Here's the problem, and I find this interesting for the league at large. And I find it most interesting, Zoe, for your Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills. Those teams have made moves, but I find it interesting for the Detroit Lions. I find it interesting for the San Francisco 49ers. I find it interesting for the contenders. It is without a doubt a buyer's market at trade deadline this year. Without a doubt, it's a buyer's market. The entire market is shifted towards teams, and you can tell because with multiple teams, we know of at least two that were interested in Deontay. And according to reports out of Charlotte, the Ravens basically made the last phone call to Dan Morgan to get Deontay up out of Charlotte. And the fact that they went with a pick swap of 5th and 6th, when you know if you're Carolina, the most that's moving you up is probably like, unless, and there is a possibility that, Lamar Jackson goes down and the Ravens end up middle of the pack in the SEC, or in the SEC, middle of the pack in the AFC, or maybe sitting on the bench for a few weeks has awoken something and Bryce Young becomes QB1 and leads the Panthers to the NFL. Okay, let's not get stupid. You get the point. Like 13 picks is the absolute most you're moving up, and you traded away the one guy who was an X wide receiver on your roster to do it. That says to me this is a buyer's market. That says to me this year on the trade deadline, teams that are contenders, San Francisco, Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit, who else? Green Bay, Minnesota. Those teams that feel like they are very close or are there but would love a little bit of a reinforcement. It says to me that teams that want to clean a little bit of house, move some cap money around, get rid of some dead money, whatever, are going to have to be willing to accept lower prices for the guys that they are trying to move. That's real bad for Carolina. That's bad for Carolina because Carolina should be one of a few teams that are just in full fire sale mode right now. Just everybody's on the block. Nobody is safe except for like Xavier Legette and a couple of the young rooks. Those guys are safe because we don't owe them anything yet. At least we don't owe them big time game and cap influencing money. Those guys are safe. Nobody else is. Taylor Moton's up on the block. Shaq's on the block, even though he's hurt. You get it. But the problem is, very clearly, nobody's willing to come off of money. You just traded a guy who was wanted by 3 teams a week before the trade deadline. You just traded him for moving up somewhere between 1 and probably 13 picks. It's a buyer's market. And that's just bad news for Carolina. Because this is a year, absolutely without doubt, that you could make a lot of cap space, and that frees you up to make a lot of plays at a lot of free agents coming up next week after the deadline and coming up this offseason. But basically, you're not getting anything in return. You just moved up 18 picks for a guy that during this offseason, you probably could have got a second or third for. You got to move up 18 picks at 13 at max. That's not great, man. Not great. All right, let's do the audio blitz coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
According to Joe Person, the Panthers are still paying nearly $3 million of Deontay Johnson.
Oh, I'm sure,
salary.
but you get re-signing him off the books for $3 million. That's you at least get something back for him.
Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz have broken up after 3 years. And they've called off their engagement. Just thought you should know.
I was very concerned about it.
As long as he wears those glasses, it's always going to look like he had a long night the night before. Those are hangover glasses.
I went to a pumpkin carving contest that I left, or a party that I left at 8 p.m. So, no.
Wow. You left a pumpkin cut. I mean,
Halloween parties hit different at 40.
I'll have you know, I left a pumpkin cutting contest.
It was just a gathering. We didn't even compete.
Oh, you went there to win.
I absolutely
Yeah, you did.
I can win even if nobody else.
Exactly. I mean, come on. You look around and go, yep, I won.
Yep.
So since you weren't able to compete the way you wanted to and had to adapt, you still feel like you won the contest. He's looking for a picture. That would mean yes.
No, I'll show you. Come on, go widescreen. All right. So here were the pumpkins last night. Couple of classic jack-o'-lanterns down there on the end, right? Couple of classics. Little Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas action.
Not bad.
Another classic vintage old school triangle eyes. All right. A little more Jack Skellington. Not really Jack, but like close enough looking to him. Olaf from Frozen. Interesting choice. This guy tried to make some effect. He didn't carve all the way through, so he had like a clown glowy nose effect, but like pretty standard operating procedure. And then you have what I brought to the table. I literally just punched eyes and a little smile into my jack-o'-lantern's face. I also, because of
what
what
does
I
yours look more evil than everyone else?
Oh, for sure. When I lit it up, I'm like, yeah.
This is what I do when I'm not trying, and I still won. The Olaf thing, I think, probably was the winner for me, just because it took some work.
Here it is in size comparison with all the rest of them. Because what I wanted to do, I had to use a little pumpkin for it. So I only had like a little pumpkin. So when it was time, and also one of the warty pumpkins, because I wanted it to look cool. You know, the ones that have all the little warts on them?
Yeah. I wonder if that's the technical term, warty pumpkin.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan of State. Lonzo and I were just having a discussion during the break last night. The wife and I were invited to our, we realized this on the way home, our first outing as a married couple with other married couples. It was adorable. Totally adorable.
Oh,
I know. That's what we said. We're like, oh, look at us. We're getting invited to marry. And I know that we're viewed as an old married couple now because it was our Halloween party.
Because you're old and you're married?
Correct.
Okay.
We went to, and for the record, I want it to be very clear. We had a blast. It was fantastic. All right. We got to a party at 6:30 p.m.
What kind of party was it?
It was a pumpkin carving party, not competition.
Mm-hmm.
Gathering, social gathering, get together.
I've never heard of a pumpkin carving party until you told me you were going to one.
Everybody brought their own pumpkin, and we all went out in the garage, and we all sat on the floor, and we drank beer and wine and seltzers, and we carved pumpkins together, and we talked about our lawn care maintenance routines. It was wonderful.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm not even being sarcastic.
Okay,
I loved it.
I was gonna say that sounded like completely truthful there. I was shocked by sitting on the floor.
Yeah,
that part.
We were sitting on the floor of the garage.
Were they like,
well, that's the easiest way to do it.
Well, was it like yoga mats or something?
No, they were just little plastic tarps, so that at the end you could just fold your tarp and all your pumpkin guts were in there and throw them away.
I'm trying to envision the rest of the people at the place, and
it was also other people who looked like they would have a blast being at a party at 6:30 and leaving it at 8:15. It was great. I appreciated it. We had a great time. At one point during the conversation, I asked the gentleman who invited us, I said, hey, here's a quick question for you. How do you get so perfectly those his lawn had the stripes in it. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you go see a baseball game, how the outfield has like the crisscrosses in it.
You got a cross cut when you're mowing your lawn.
Never done it before. Don't know how it's done. Don't know the process, right? So I asked him, and he walked me through the whole process of how he does it. It was a lovely, lovely engagement. But Lonzo said,
does he have a riding mower or a push mower?
No, he pushes his.
Okay, all right.
He pushes his.
Actually, I think it'd be a little bit easier with a push mower because you don't have to worry about your turns.
That's why he has one.
You don't have to worry about your turns and that messing up your pattern. So
that's why he has one. So it was lovely. And I told the wife when we got in the car to leave, I said, I need you to know that I know that you have influenced my life because this is the first Halloween party I've ever left at 8:30. Usually at 8:30, I'm getting ready to go to it. I'm leaving it at 8:30. All right. My life's different now. And I'm okay with that. My life's different now. Anyway, we were talking during the break and Lonzo said, well, did you win the competition? To which I said, it wasn't a competition. It really was just a gathering. Everybody carve your pumpkins, and then we're all going to take pictures of our jack-o'-lanterns, and then we're all going to go home. Like it wasn't a competition. Except for me, it absolutely was, right? Like I can win a competition when that competition's not actually a competition. And that's what I was going for last night. I bring that up because of the Anthony Richardson thing. Now, I'm not going to play the audio again. You already have heard it a couple of times. The Colts benching Anthony Richardson, starting quarterback, because he tapped out of a game against the Texans, a game that should the Colts have won the game, they would have become the leaders of the AFC South, the leaders of that division. But he tapped himself out of the contest because he had run a bunch and he was very, very tired, which I get. I understand. I am also tired. Most of the time.
Yeah, me too. It's weird.
Welcome to the morning show slide. But
age has something to do with that too.
Probably does. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I've never lost is my desire to win. Even when the thing that I'm trying to win isn't a thing that can be won. There was no voting on jack-o'-lanterns last night. There was no put them out on the street and let passersby say this one's the best one. There was no secret vote at the end to determine the best jack-o'-lantern. No, it was just friends being friends and doing a thing together, which was lovely. But I was damn sure trying to win that son of a gun. All right? That is why everybody's upset with Anthony Richardson. It's not that he checked out because he was tired. It's that in a moment where they needed him to help win this game and be first in the division, when the Colts came into this year absolutely believing they got a shot at the AFC South, when they needed him to go out there and wanting to gut it out and win the damn game, he went, yeah, I'm winning, coach. I'm winning. I need a slot. Now, I want to put that in contrast with another football player who was on a podium yesterday. The University of Florida has a linebacker / edge rusher by the name of Jack Pyburn, Pyburn. This dude is a meathead of a bro, and I say that with all the complimentary nature I can muster. Well, over the last couple of games, Billy Napier has recognized the absolutely hard-headedness of Jack Pyburn and has started not just utilizing Jack Pyburn as an edge rusher who sets the edge on the defense, but also as a fullback who disrupts the edge of the other defense. Jack Pyburn was on the mic yesterday, and a reporter said, "Hey, man, how do you take the mentality you've learned as a linebacker and an edge rusher setting the edge and apply it to fullback?" And Jack Pyburn said this.
I just feel like when they put you in at fullback, you know your assignment, you know your job. It's coming down to, hey, Jack, all right, we need you to blow up the edge. Okay, I do that pretty well on defense, so I can do that pretty well on offense too. So, I look forward to putting my face into someone and running through someone. I'm being honest. I love contact. So speaking of blowing up the edge, that's what I do, man. I love contact. At the end of the day, you watch the best edges in the NFL. You watch the best edges in college football. The best edges are ones that set edges and set edges with violence. I always like to say it's better to be the hammer than the nail, because if you're the nail, you're going to be the one that's getting hurt. But if you're the hammer, you ain't going to feel nothing. So, when I come through there, it's a mentality that I'm going to run through your face and you're going to have to stop me. And hurts them a lot more than it hurts me.
Bro, I'm gonna run through your face, man.
I'm gonna run through your stupid face. I gotta tell you, man, I got no love for the University of Florida. I got love for Jack Pyburn right now. I may tune in to watch Florida's next game just to watch this cat play fullback. Forget edge, just to watch him play fullback.
Listen, we know he's getting drafted to Detroit. Dan is looking, going, yeah, that's a line.
That's my guy.
That's my
freaking guy. That man, there's nothing I love more than putting my face on somebody's numbers and running through their damned chest. Give me 11 of that guy. You give me 11 of that guy, I'm going to win some football games. You give me 11 of that guy, I'm playing a straight up 3-4 cover 2, nothing special every down, and going, hey, you know what I would like you to do? Violence. Go do violence. I want you to go over there, play defense, and do a violence. If you don't know what to do, find a dude not wearing our jersey and violence him. And just violence him every play. Give me 11 of that guy. Now, discipline is importante, ain't it right, Chicago Bears? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, because I've gone back and I've watched that Jaden Daniels Ave Maria touchdown pass about 10 times. And you can see everything that goes wrong for Chicago. You don't have to know ball.
I swear to God, I'll Billy Club him and knock him over like a baby seal. I ain't taking no
to feel that way about what Chicago did. Okay? You don't have to know ball to know that. It was glaringly obvious what went wrong. And the answer was a freaking lot. But I'll tell you what. I'll take a defense that's got minimal discipline, but it's got 11 of that guy. That's the dog I need. That's the guy I need. That's a guy who knows ball and just wants to injure people. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I want that guy. All right? Because if you give me the choice between Anthony Richardson, who I will say scrambled for his life on the play before that. And I will say this, if this is the case, I could almost say Anthony Richardson handled it right. Anthony Richardson was getting his ass kicked in this game because the offensive line was not good. And Colts got a good offensive line, but the offensive line in this game was getting ripped up, was getting shredded. And Anthony Richardson was running for his life. Even on the play before that, the one that led him to tap out, Anthony Richardson was running for his damn life. He took a 5-step drop in the pocket, and before he set that back foot to step into the throw, he had a couple of Texans all up in his grill. at that point. So what did my man have to do? Tuck it, run for his life. Got hit like 3 or 4 times before he got back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. There's a part of me that thinks Anthony Richardson said, I need a break from these clowns. They're getting me killed back here. And because even on that play, when he got tackled, he got hit in the leg and dragged down. I thought he was hurt when he popped up and he touched the side of the helmet. I'm like, oh, that guy's banged up. He just got roughed up. He needs a break. And I get it. I understand it. I'm good with it. He wasn't. He just said he was tired. Now, if he genuinely, if he said, I'm tired and I need a break because the other option was to say, hey, my offensive line sucked and they were getting me killed and I ain't about that life. I wasn't trying to get hurt permanently because I was winded and getting hammered every play because my offensive line is a joke today. Then, okay, I mean, in a weird way, I respect that. In a weird way, I respect that. I almost want that to be true. I almost want that to be true for Anthony Richardson's sake. But, I want Jack Pyburn. I want a dude that if the offensive line's bad, he looks and he goes, Coach, I'll hit somebody. Put me up there. I'll play right guard. I don't care. Just have the dudes next to me go, hey, your job on this one, Jack, is go hit that guy. Go smoke that guy. Go lay that guy out. That's the dude I want. And Anthony, I'm just going to say, man, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I want to say that you said to yourself, I'm getting hammered out here, not in the fun 2:30 in the morning at a cheap bar way. I mean, in the bad way that ends careers. I'm getting hammered out here behind this offensive line, and I need a break from getting hit, not from running, from getting smoked by the defensive line every play. I need a break. But here's the thing. The dogs, the guys, the hymns of the NFL, they still play. They still play. They still go out there and play. They still go out there and go, yeah, I'm getting hammered every play. But if I'm on the sideline, you know what I can't do? Score a tutty. If I can't go put 7 on the board if my butt cheeks are on the bench. I got to be out there to do that. And even if I'm getting smoked, I'm going to play because that's what players do. Give me 11 Jack Pyburns. I'll win you some playoff games. Lonzo is a Jack Pyburn of reading sports flashes.
Time to run through your face. In the World Series, the New York Yankees bounced back last night with an 11-4 domination over the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman hit a home run in his 4th consecutive World Series game and 6th consecutive dating back to 2021. New York finished the game with 9 hits and 3 home runs. Dodgers lead the series 3-1. Game 5 is tonight at 8:08. The Indianapolis Colts have announced they're benching starting quarterback Anthony Richardson in favor of veteran Joe Flacco. For this week's game against Minnesota, the benching comes after Richardson told reporters he checked out of a loss against Houston because he was tired. Richardson was 10 of 32 for 175 yards after starting 2 of 15 and has a season completion rating of 44.4%, which is not very good. The 5th worst in a player's first 6 games since 2000. Told you. Tune in this Saturday at noon as the Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. It's Furman versus VMI right here on The Fan. Upstate. Smashed pumpkin yesterday. Today, gonna have to let the granddaughter smash hers.
It's not Halloween yet.
Yeah, but the bugs are, they're, remember woods. There's some things crawling in there. I'm not quite sure what they are. So it needs to be thrown off the porch. Return to its natural habitat. The dirt. Tell you what, I ran through that pumpkin's face.
The fight of the money hour, the midweek edition of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you. 844-326-3663. That's the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE, if you would like to be on the show with me and Lonzo. You can text us 71307. The text line open. Start your text with FAN, FAN to 71307. We'll read them on the air. You can use the Ray Memorial text line. That one's easy to do. Go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Go to the Fan Upstate page. Click on the little heart button. That way, when you open the Odyssey app, it'll take you right to the Fan Upstate's page. On the middle of that page, you're going to see two buttons. One says listen live. You click that button, guess what happens? That's right. You listen live 24/7, 365. The other button is a little circle with a microphone on the inside of it. You click on that little circle with the microphone. It's going to allow you to leave a 60-second voice note that comes directly to the great one and I that we can listen to and replay for you whenever we want to make you part of the show. It's the Ray Memorial Hotline, available only on the Fan Upstate page on the Odyssey app. So grab it and bring it. Let's get to, I wanted to get to this earlier in the show. We'll get to it now. Why not? The Bears lose to the Commanders 18-15. Your final score, Jane Daniels heels in Ave Maria touchdown to wrap up the contest. There was some interesting ones, some interesting things about that. The first one and the most obvious one was the fact that the Chicago Bears, Tyreek Stevenson, defensive back, was caught on a video taunting Commanders fans. Now, I've watched the video a few, I assume at this point, 1,000 times. Mainly because it's absolute friggin' comedy gold is what it is, at least in my opinion. In fact, if you're not watching the stream, go watch the stream. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube. The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. I'll actually show you my favorite fan angle video that's been shown so far. Here, 'tis. You will see as the play is getting set up. Tyreek Stevenson is down in the left-hand corner. Of course, why wouldn't it need to reload when I just watched it? Tyreek Stevenson's down in the corner. And
he's that blur right over there.
Yeah, he's when it starts, he's over in this area. Tyreek Stevenson, well, I'll bring it back up here in just a second. Tyreek Stevenson is down in the corner. And down in the corner, Tyreek Stevenson is absolutely jack-jawing with a bunch of Commanders fans. He is he's pointing at him. He's doing that little cool guy hop, where you're like, oh, I just dunked on you, just threw down on you, son. It's pretty funny. Here's that video. So you'll see him. He's down here in this left corner. And my favorite part about it is, here's the snap. The ball's live. My man is facing with his back to the play and like doing the hands up thing and hitting the real like cool guy gangsta pose. All right. Gives the and then he turns around. And he's like, oh, the play is being run. There are wide receivers coming at me. In fact, my second favorite part of this video, aside from him posing like a dork, is if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a bunch of Bears fans that are like, turn around! For the love of football, God, turn around! They're all pointing back. He finally does turn around and realizes, oh, the play's being run. So he does get back into the play, but one thing that you will notice as Jaden Daniels heaves the ball 65 yards down to the end zone is that he's the one that comes into the frame from left to right. He's the one that actually ends up tipping the ball backwards. Lonzo, you're a safety. It's an Ave Maria to the end zone for the tutty. The rule is what?
Knock it down.
Knock it down.
What are you doing, bro?
Instead, he goes up with his hand turned upward like he's a waiter carrying a tray. The ball gets popped back to Noah Brown. Tutty Washington, they walk him off. All right. Now, I bring that up not to just repeatedly dunk on Tyreek Stevenson, although, yes, that's not good. That's not good at all. But he wasn't the only one that had a problem. You'll notice something else if you watch that play, and that's something else you notice is that the Bears had a linebacker spying on Jaden Daniels. I will repeat that for the lulz. On a Hail Mary, where the Washington Commanders...
Wait, Rob. He's really fast, okay? He's really, really fast. Mm-hmm. He might have run that ball. He could have run all that way.
I am going to say, if you're in a spot where a rookie quarterback takes it 65 through the house, through a prevent defense where 7 of your 11 guys are in the end zone, you deserve to lose every game. Not just that game, every game forever.
Which would have been a better result? What actually happened, or if he had ran?
If he runs that in, it's the funniest thing that's ever happened. But no quarterback in that position, except Will Howard, has ever decided, I'm going to run the ball here. Because if you decide to run the ball there, your ass is benched.
Why you got to come at me like that again? That hurts, man. It hurts.
Did it happen or did it not?
Get down. Get down.
It's a real bad look. Here's the point. Point here is You can't win if your team's not a disciplined football team. I don't care if you're in the NFL, college, high school, middle school, junior varsity, pee-wee, elementary school, or Madden.
Are you going back in my day when teams were disciplined?
No, not at all.
Is that what,
not at all. This has nothing to do with how football was operated when I was playing football.
Back in my day, back in the year 2000, people paid attention to plays.
Anything you do, work, school, relationship, health, anything you do, if you do not attack it with structure and discipline, you will fail. That is an unfortunate reality of life. All right. I am as go with the flow as anybody else. I don't make plans because plans never work. I feel like I have a concept of a plan.
That really does describe you. You definitely don't.
Look,
no, you don't.
Here, let me tell you how this works. Let me tell this how this works. 2:00 today, there's an announcement by the Greenville Triumph at Bridgeway Center. 2:00, I've been invited out. Got to go, right? You know what my plan of attack for this event is? Be there at 2:00.
I was going to say to not double book.
Yeah, be there at 2:00. All right, that's it. That's my
my
plan.
Man, I got a thing to do. Oh no, that thing.
The structure of the plan for me is just make sure I'm there. Now, after that, I don't really make plans because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the announcement is. I don't know who's going to be there and available. What happens if I make this big plan about I'm going to do this, and this, and then Ronaldinho walks in? Yeah, obviously, the plan's going to hell. What happens if I get there and John Harkes is there? What happens if I get there and Rick Wright says, hey, man, I want to talk to you about how this directly impacts the game, and I made all these other plans and interviews and whatnot. I don't do that. I basically make plans if it is something that can only be accomplished. I got a plan today, 10:30 a.m., I'm going to be setting up a live stream, and we're going to interview Marty Smith from ESPN. We'll play that interview back for you tomorrow. Really excited about that. My plan, however, is interview Marty Smith at 10:30.
Glad we got those technical problems out of the way.
Yeah, you and me both, bud. I was stressed for a minute there. My plan is interview Marty at 10:30. Do I have questions scripted out for Marty? No, I don't. You want to know why? Because that's not how conversation works. And I interview via conversation, not be, here's my next question, it's not my style. Now, for some people, that's their style. It's not my style. My style is, I'm going to ask him a question, and then based on what he says and how he says it, I'll either ask him the next question I had in my brain, or I'll flip it and go, oh, you just said this thing, and I'm more interested in that than what I was going to ask you. Let's go there.
Yeah, if you watch our interviews, you'll see one of us hold their hand up because the follow-up just popped into your head.
Yep.
And you want to make sure you jump in there and get that.
Yep. That's 100% correct. I don't make plans. However, I am also very much aware that you got to have at least the concept of a plan. All right. You got to. You got to know at least the rough outline. You got to know that if you're in a prevent defense and you're the safety over the top, standing at the goal line, the last line of defense to prevent them from securing a miracle walk-off win, you should, I don't know, Zoe, be looking at the quarterback. You know, the guy with the football, maybe look at the guy who's going to throw the football. That seems like a concept.
That's probably a
good
move, you know, because that's what everyone else was doing.
Yeah. You should probably do that. Not be jack-jawing with the fans, who, by the way, do you think the fans that he was pointing at, the fans that he was giving the shush to, the fans that he was telling settle down, the fans that he turned and mean-mugged, you think they had a word or 27,000 for him when the game was over? You're damn right they did. That's fun.
They were successful in their endeavor.
Lack.
They distracted him. Then he went over and did a bonehead play, and then they won.
Lack of discipline will get you killed. All right? It'll get you destroyed. It will ruin your hopes, your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, your life. I mean it. I'm not even being dramatic. I am very serious about that.
Sounded pretty dramatic.
It's very serious. Having a lack of a plan, depending on the severity of the situation and the importance of the situation with which you are talking about, it can get you killed. All right? I think there's plenty of lessons throughout humanity of someone who went into something not knowing what they were doing and without a plan who ended up dead. It's not a joke. Haha, funny, sure, to say it the way I'm saying it because it's very exaggerated, but I'm also right. You got to have a plan. This is another example of a team that has exactly and precisely zero reasons to have lost that game, but they did, and I blame it all on Eberflus. I blame it all on the coaching, because if you have created a football team which with a score up, but only one score up, and the chance to lose a football contest if you are undisciplined and get away from the plan of the Ave Maria prevention defense, bad things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. I'm not the only one who says that. All right. Here is a legendary Hall of Fame kicker, Robbie Gould's thoughts on what happened in this game.
I don't know that I would have played Hail Mary twice in a row, even though they didn't have a timeout. I wouldn't allow them to have the out to make it a much harder throw for. You could also play it to where you protect the sideline and then you convert to a Hail Mary, right? So to me, I think that's what's going to be questioned the most. I do think the execution of the Hail Mary still wasn't that great. I know that's something that you go through usually on Saturdays, or sometimes some coaches do it on Fridays. But you go through those protocols in training camp and in the summer the whole way through. The Bears just didn't execute. Instead of batting it down and going in aggressively, they all kind of jumped up, got an unlucky bounce, and we're sitting here talking about an 18-15 loss instead of a 15-12 win.
Here is sports writer Peter King talking about it.
And the thing I think that really bothered me most about that is that after the game, Matt Eberflus, the coach of the Bears, said we've practiced that 100 times. And he said, among other things, you have one guy who's supposed to knock the ball down. And then he also said we got a, quote, back tip guy that goes behind the pile. Well, Jim, I watched that replay just as you did 8 or 10 times. I saw no back tip guy. All I saw is a Washington receiver, Noah Brown, standing all by himself.
Yeah. Yeah. If that was your plan, you failed the plan.
I don't know. The way he said back tip guy, like, oh,
yeah,
dude.
There's a guy who stands in the back, and your only job is don't let anybody rebound it. Box out like Shaq Daddy. Here is two-time Super Bowl champion defensive back Logan Ryan.
I saw is one guy flexing on the fans, which is hilarious, by the way.
Yep.
Mid-play.
Yep.
And then ran over in the mix. I saw about everybody on the Bears in the scrum. Everybody jumped. There was not one jumper. All 7 jumped, right? Yep. And all the receivers are in the same pile. So even if the guys are boxing out, they're in the mush. There's no back tip guy. There's no front tip guy. And what happens is a lot of times they say, well, do you pick it off? Do you knock it down? Even if you're trying to knock it down, it can get ricocheted, right? Because someone else tips it. The receiver's trying to tip it up. Not all of them can get it. So some are trying to catch it. Some, if you can't catch it, they're taught to tip it up. That's why you need a back tip guy about 3 to 5 yards behind exactly where the receiver was. Yep. And he did his job because on offense, they're doing the same thing. Not everyone's supposed to jump. They're supposed to get around for a tip. So that play is called rebound. It's a basketball play. One person jumps, everyone boxes their man out. Get on your man, box him out. Don't even look for the ball. Don't let your man catch it. There's about 7 people that did the wrong thing on that play. It doesn't normally, it's a free stat if you get a pick. So a lot of guys like, man, F it. I'm trying to go get an interception here. Free pick, right? Free stat. And it doesn't get you till it gets you. And it got him on that one.
It's the plan's there. You failed at it. Okay. You didn't execute the plan. The Washington Commanders executed the plan, and the Washington Commanders got the win because of it. Bad coaching, bad defense. You know, the counterexample of this is, Joey B brought him up earlier in the show. The counterexample of this is the team that the Gamecocks of South Carolina will be playing this weekend, Mike Elko's Texas A&M Aggies. See, because Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M was a guy who had all the resources in the world to make that team good. He had some of the best recruiting classes of all time, if you believe in the star ranking composites. Some of the best talent that had come through College Station in forever with a capital F. He had all that, but he didn't have discipline. Team was undisciplined, just like it was at Florida State, where he got bailed out by having Jameis Winston. He didn't have Jameis Winston at Texas A&M, and he failed miserably. Granted, he didn't fail because he's getting paid $70 million a year to sit his ass on the couch at home and watch TV, and I respect that. I wish I could get that gig. I'm working on it. But you don't have a plan. This is why when a coach shows me that the team doesn't have discipline, Dennis Allen, this is why I want out. I will take a coach who has a mid-tier football brain, but has a team that goes to war and executes over the most ingenious football mind of all time, but a guy that has no rigidity and no discipline. The Kansas City Chiefs are a disciplined football team. Still fun-loving, still goofy, still bouncy, still enjoyable, but a disciplined football team. The Chicago Bears have all the talent they need to win that division this year. I mean, outright win the NFC North, a good division. They are the best team in it talent-wise. But then they do stuff like this. This is why I go hard against undisciplined football coaches. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Uncle Sports Fan, he put 2024 and a bunch of exclamation marks. That's a lot of because not only did he go 2029, he put it in the title. It wasn't just that he misdated. He had put it in the title, and I left the title the same to show him.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Please and thank you.
Just
poor cat. Getting roasted by Facebook memories.
If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no HCG, no drugs, and no surgery, go to mynewlifeweightloss.com.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I wanted to lose weight for my wedding about a month ago. Yeah, I did. New Life Weight Loss helped me drop 50 pounds and a foot off of my waistline, and they did it by offering me a support system I can lean on as well as a weight loss plan that worked for my chaotic life. They can do it for you. Call them, tell them I sent you. They'll give you $250 off the program.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. That's a half pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 864-719-2550. That's 864-719.
Am I undisciplined if I can't spell undisciplined? I know there's a C in there somewhere. I'm just not quite sure where it is.
It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppable bottle shake. And now a sniff solo.
Sniff solo.
Nice. With Downy Unstoppable, you just toss, watch, wow, for all-day freshness.
Tune in this week to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti, where they break down all the headlines in the NFL, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on your iPhone.
You're wrong, Rob. Stop rooting for other teams. He doesn't play for your team anymore. Let him go, man.
I still love my current first baseman. I'm allowed to miss my.
It is critical that we have a free and fair election to ensure every voice is heard. Despite the damage, early voting centers are open. To learn
You know,
your
you,
voting options, go to Hurricane Relief.
someone gets into a new relationship, the first thing they should do is delete all the memories of their old relationship from their existence. This isn't a relationship. This is baseball. I'm allowed to miss Freddie Freeman, but still appreciate Matt
Hey,
Gibson for
hey.
being a great player.
Take them off your lock screen and move on. Okay.
Voting process concerns. That's 828-209-9797.
The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by the Republican National Committee and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
That'd be like still rooting for Mark Ryan when he's not on our team anymore. I'm not doing that. You don't work here anymore. Go away. Trying to think, what Chief would I root for if he went somewhere else? Probably only two of them.
There's a lot of players I root for when they go other places. If they did great things for my team. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. I just had a nightmare of a realization during the break. So when we were in the last segment, and I said, "Oh, it's about discipline and people who lack discipline." You said, "Are you about to go full boomer?" In the back in my day.
That's not what
discussion.
I said because you're a different generation, and I wouldn't mislabel your generation. I just said you were old. The boomer thing, that was like 2 generations ago, right?
No, it was one before me.
If people who still say boomer do not understand that those people mostly are probably dead.
They're not dead. Boomers are in their like 50s and 60s.
No,
You're a boomer, bud.
No, I'm not. I'm Gen X. We've had this discussion before. I am Gen X.
Let's see. Baby boomers, often shortened to boomers, are the demographic preceded by the silent generation, followed by Gen X. The generation often decide people born from 46 to 64. Okay, so you're on the cusp.
I'm not on the cusp. I'm Gen X, dude. I'm not even. No.
All right, whatever. Point is, it's a phrase, and I like it, and it makes me laugh.
Well, just don't put that phrase in my mouth because I don't say that phrase. That's all I'm saying.
So, Lonzo said, "Are you about to go full old man back in my day?" And the answer is no, I was not. Not for that. I am about to do it right now, though, because I just made a horrific realization about what's going to happen. And I'm calling this shot now. Do you remember? So we're the baseball guys last night, the 2 fans that grabbed Mookie Betts' glove and tried to wrestle the ball, successfully wrestled the ball away from him, although it was
Yankee heroes.
Yes. Yankee jerks, Yankee buttholes, those guys for sure. I don't mean Yankee like Yankees people from the north. I mean specifically these 2 buttholes. These 2 buttholes. Do you remember the name Steve Bartman? Does that name ring a bell for you?
Yeah.
Okay. It should. For everybody who was alive in the mid-90s, Steve Bartman, of course, a Cubs fan, was at a World Series game. Foul ball hit, kind of the same as was last night. Bartman, who did not reach over the fence, by the way, Bartman caught a baseball flying towards him. Bartman took a ball away from one of the Chicago Cubs defenders that likely would have recorded it out and moved the Cubbies closer to at least competing for a World Series championship. Do you remember what happened with Steve Bartman after that happened? The dude got run.
I was going to say, yeah, his name is still invoked to this day. The fact that you remember his name, and what year did you say that was?
Oh, God, 96? 96, I think. Somewhere in there, somewhere in that ballpark. Doesn't matter. Whenever it was. 2003. Okay, I'm losing my mind. 2003. Steve Bartman, after that happened, Cubs fans started shouting insults and throwing debris at Bartman. Now, it was a different case in that had Bartman not caught the ball and the ball would have been caught over on the first base line, Moses Alou, who was I think he was the third baseman there. Moses Alou would have likely caught that ball, recorded an out. They would have moved on. Instead, what happened was Alex Gonzalez mishandled a ground ball that would have been a inning-ending double play. The Cubs allowed 8 runs in that inning, and they lost that game 8-3. They would also go on to lose Game 7 at Wrigley Field the following day and be eliminated by the Marlins. This was in the NL playoffs in the NLCS. So, Steve Bartman got publicly shamed, not just by Cubs fans. You'll remember that Steve Bartman had to leave Wrigley Field because he was being assaulted by Cubs fans. And when I say assaulted, I mean definition of the crime, insulted by Cubs fans. He had to be walked out of the stadium. And basically, Steve Bartman had to go into hiding after that. Witness protection program after that. Well, Bartman ultimately, years down the line, Steve Bartman was ultimately forgiven. Moises Alou was quoted 5 years later as saying, quote, "You know what the funny thing is? I wouldn't have caught it anyway." End quote. He was quoted by the AP as saying that. Steve Bartman, years down the line, after the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, Steve Bartman was apologized to by the Cubs. They honored him, blah, 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 blah. They basically tried to make it right. But at that point, Steve Bartman had become, as Lonzo just pointed out, a household name, certainly amongst baseball fans. Why? Because this country, now I am going to go full boomer. This country, we used to publicly shame people who deserve to be publicly shamed. We used to get after people who screwed things up for the rest of us. Now we celebrate them. Here's what I mean. I'm going to make a prediction, Lonzo. Here's my prediction. By the end of this day, we are all going to know the name of the 2 absolute jackasses who did what they did in that game last night. By the end of this day, by the end of this week, these 2 clowns are going to be on the podcast circuit. They're going to be making the rounds on Podcast Around America. Hey, what were you thinking? And it'll be under the guise of, let's ask them questions. By the end of this month, I'll say November. By the end of November, I'll make a prediction right now, Zoe. By the end of November, these 2 guys have a nationally distributed baseball podcast and are making more money per episode than I make in a year. You want to take me up on that? I bet you by the end of November, these 2 guys have a picked up.
All right. I found an article, and one of them talked to ESPN. And
him or his brother, because the one I saw earlier, they talked to the guy's brother.
Copa Bianco, a 38-year-old season ticket holder from Connecticut, broke his silence, telling ESPN, and while he knew he would immediately be in trouble for his actions, he and his friend had gamed out a similar scenario in the past. So unless I'm reading about the wrong thing, and I'm not.
No, you're not. That's right.
Here's what his quote. "We always joked about the ball in our area," Copa Bianco told the sports outlet at a local bar after the game. "We're not going to go out of our way to attack. If it's in our area, we're going to D up." So they already planned.
Damn it, that's funny. God,
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, that's what I told you. These guys are heroes, man.
I don't want it to be funny. I want to hate these guys, and that's hilarious. My man said we're going to D up on Mookie Betts. That's funny. Crap.
He further says, "I know when I'm in the wrong, and as soon as I did it, I was like, boys, I'm out of here."
Yep.
Capote told you, adding, "I patrol that wall, and they know that."
Son of a. Oh, man. I want to be mad, but the dude's going to turn out to be funny as hell. Watch.
Yeah.
He's going to turn out to be so funny. He's going to turn out to be unironically hilarious. This dude, by the end of next month, is going to have a podcast that is nationally distributed by one of the big companies. And this dude, by the end of the month, is going to be making more money in an episode than I make in a year. Watch. Oh, and it's going to suck because he's going to be hilarious. Damn it. I want to be so mad at this guy. But he said, if it comes near the wall, we're going to D up. That doesn't make it better. That's still a jackass move, but God, that's funny.
I'm not surprised. This is what I expected. So, I mean, especially, and looking at the guys, these guys, this is what they're talking about. Oh yeah, if it comes up in here, I'm going to do this. And then they did it.
Oh, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. This is painful. So,
there's audio out there somewhere. Now I want to hear what he sounds like.
Oh, you know what he sounds like, bro.
Exactly. And he's from from Connecticut.
Listen,
and
I'm on a wall, all right, and I done told the boys that thing comes over here. I'm getting wide, set the center of gravity, drop through the legs, D up. Hey, Mookie, you schmuck. Hey, Mookie, come over here. Let's see what happens when you come into section 115, huh? I dare you to try to catch a ball a bit. See what happens to you, huh? Let's see what happens to you. You know what this case is going to be? As somebody who goes there like once or twice a year, I'm going to tell you right now, New York City is full of people that on the outside surface looking in, they all seem like absolute buttholes. But if you ever talk to New Yorkers, they're the funniest large group of people you've ever been around. They're hysterical as long as you understand that they're jokes. They're blunt, but they're jokes. This dude's going to turn out to be a riot. And he's going to make more money in a day than I make in a year. This is painful.
I hope there are a bunch of D up signs tonight for the game.
I'll tell you what's going to happen right now. There's going to be a lot of security around the wall tonight. Lot of security around the wall tonight, boys. I told the boys we're going to D up, huh? All right, we got to take a break. We come back. Last segment's next. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. October. Man, that sucks. Did I turn off?
No, mine wasn't off yet.
Good thing I didn't yell, bleep that guy. Oh, man. I'm going to be poor forever, you guys.
You're very rich compared to some other people.
Yeah, but I'm very poor compared to most of them.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either. So these guys keep coming in here and they keep messing with the track lights to get their lighting just right. And it's killing my eyes. It's a beautiful place, Mac. It's a place of zen. Too many people try to hang out there, though, and can't get work done. To start charging at the door. To find somebody willing to D up at the door. Keep them out. No, it's not. You physically have to stand up and move them. I moved one this morning, which was right. And the person who probably moved them needs like a step ladder, but still. I gotta quit looking up though, because I see spots. And I guess it's because I know what I look like. No amount of lighting is going to make me look any sexier. So, I mean, why mess with it? Yes, Mac, I am. He's probably average height, though. He's not.
I'm going to read you a couple of texts because the Armada's heating up the text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Texter said that guy's going to end up working with the Hawk Tua girl. Can I tell you, I will keep, let me keep it a buck. I have not listened to a single episode of Talk Tua, which I'm not going to lie, is the best podcast name I've ever heard. That's absolutely brilliant. From what I understand, that chick, Haley, whatever her name is, apparently she's super legit. Like she's taking all the money she's earning from the Talk to a podcast and like bought her grandma a house, is opening and funding no-kill animal shelters around her community. Like she apparently is a pretty cool chick. So I'm going to give her props for that.
So this has nothing to do with Tua Tagovailoa?
No.
Okay.
The Hawk Tua girl started a podcast named Talk Tua, and she just has guests on and talks about stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. Pretty brilliant. Another texter said, Rob, there's a fantastic monologue in season 2 of The Bear that involves the Steve Bartman story. That's from Bobby. Appreciate it, Bobby. I'm going to have to watch The Bear. I've heard great things about this show. And now there's Bartman monologues. I'm all in. But here are the texts that jumped off the text line at me. One texter wrote in, Lonzo, with instructions, advice on how to get the stripes in your lawn. Where'd that text go? Let me pull that text back up. Texter wrote in and said, Rob, real style mower, top dress your lawn, mow different directions each mow. I've been in lawn care since 1998. Good luck. OHZO and AE-dub. Have a great day, boys.
Awesome.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, awesome text. By the way, and that's the thing. You just got to change your patterns over and over again, and you're going to get that crisscross. And it's pretty sweet.
What does top dress your lawn mean?
That is, that's out of my pay grade.
Like, I assumed that, like, on one pass you go that way, and then another pass you go that way, and then at the end you do the same thing, but you do diagonals if you want the diamond look. I assume that, but I don't know what top dress your lawn
Here's
means.
what I do. I think that has to do with fertilizer and stuff. I'm just
probably.
Yeah. I look at the pattern that I went across last week. This week I'm going to go the opposite direction.
Texture said, Rob, that's the most action out of any Yankee in the series so far. Good text, John Dog. Good text. They did put up 11 runs last night, though. Granted, they did it against the worst Dodgers on the roster and the guys that the Dodgers threw, because the Dodgers had decided they were going to save all the arsenal up for tonight, which is why the Dodgers are, and I looked it up during the break, minus 150 on the money line, and I'm still taking that bet.
Right. According to the Home Depot, top dressing is a process of adding a thin layer of nutrient-rich compost to your lawn or parts of your lawn that need extra attention. When performed routinely and with aeration, the soil will improve and your turf will benefit.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm also going to say, I don't really have like that expensive lush grass. You know what I mean? I got that like I got that like we live out in the woods grass. I don't have that nice lush grass that you want to walk around with no shoes on your feet. You know what I mean? I got country grass. We live out in the sticks.
Well,
grass.
you ain't got country feet, or it won't matter what kind of grass. You just go out there in it.
No, you know what I mean. When I say walk around with no shoes on, I mean that kind of grass that you look at and you want to walk around because it feels like you're going to be walking on a cloud made of grass.
I think it's more about you're not worried about sticks and things underneath that grass. But I do understand what you're saying.
I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But you know that grass that you look at and you go, I would lay down and take a nap on that grass.
I have walked upon but never owned such grass.
Tell you how this pumpkin carving not competition party went for me last night. We got in the car and left the party at 8:15 p.m. Not got to the party. I left the party at 8:15. And on the ride home, I told the wife, I'm like, I think I know what our next big purchase should be. And she said, what? And I said, I think we should put some nice grass down. And I wasn't joking. I was being very serious. I'm like, we should get some nice Bermuda, right? That real thick, lush stuff. And we should do the whole yard so that we can just go be out in the yard. I'm also digging a fire pit. As a matter of fact, I finished my fire pit tonight. All right. So now I want to match it with some lush grass.
Well, I'm glad you waited till it's going to be 80 degrees outside again to do that.
Nah, I need it ready for when it gets cold. Right?
I know.
I need it ready for when it gets cold. In fact, already got the plans for this Saturday. Even if it's not cold outside Saturday night, I got plans for the fellas to come over and watch a little A&M South Carolina out in the fire pit in the backyard.
Well, I mean, come on. It's going to be cooler at night. It'd probably be like in the 50s. So that's perfect weather for that. Not too cold, just right.
Texter said, I had a Jose Bautista home run coming right at me once. I could hear it almost whistling towards me, so I moved out of the way and then got roasted on SportsCenter that night. Texter, I don't want to be mean. You deserved it.
No.
You deserve it.
Here's the thing.
Make a play.
You can solve this problem just by bringing your glove with you. Just bring your glove with you, then you put that in front of you, you brace it, you catch that ball. That's how you do that.
You reach your hand up, you dig down deep, you find the spirit of a champion, and you grab the baseball. How many people in your life have had the opportunity to snag a major league dong out of the air? The answer is you. You're the only person I know that had that opportunity. And instead of seizing the moment, carpe diem, and grabbing a rock and becoming immortalized in the eyeballs of all of your bros, instead you're the dude who got cooked by Linda Cohn on SportsCenter that night.
Don't risk your digits going after something that's coming really fast. I mean, let it hit your chest and then catch it.
No. You put your hand up. You reach back, you find the spirit of the ancestors. You find whatever warrior culture you come from, you call upon your forefathers' strength and constitution, and you grab that thing and you become an idol.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you got cooked.
Or you realize that the velocity is less than what it was when it came off the end of the bat. And if it's on an angle of descent, it's definitely slowed down even further. So if you time it right and you make your hand go down as contact is made, you're going to lessen the impact.
Catch the ball. You
It's
go
just-
through
it's
whatever
just physics.
Go through whatever algebraic or trigonometric equations you want to. Catch the damn ball. Come on, Texter. You're in the Armada. All right? I expect greatness from the Armada. Texter said, Rob, I watched a girl get knocked in the head by a pop fly at the drive game. That was hilarious.
Why didn't you jump in front of that ball, dude?
Well, I mean seeing it happen doesn't mean you were in the vicinity to make the play.
All right.
You know
all
what
right.
I mean?
All right. That's a good point.
Like I
Good
said,
point.
I've been in the 100-ish major league ball games I've been to over the course of my life. I have been in the same section as a catchable ball one time. I was nowhere near it. I watched the ball get caught. And by the way, it did get caught, but I was nowhere near it. It was heartbreaking.
If you're an adult and you're at a baseball game, pay attention. I mean, if a kid gets hit, it's horrible, but you can see them not paying attention. If you're an adult and you're there, pay attention, especially if you're sitting in a place where there's a chance there's a ball going to come your way.
You know, one of the reasons that baseball is baseball and college football are the two sports that I don't really have to like talk the wife into going, right? I'm like, yo, I got tickets to go see a baseball. We're going to the drive tonight. Thursday, we're going to the drive tonight. She's usually like, yeah, for sure. Okay. I love some baseball. Or if I go, hey, I got tickets to go see, Furman play tonight. I got tickets to go see South Carolina play tonight. I got tickets to, she absolutely will not go to Clemson. She's like Zoe. She refuses to step foot on campus.
Good for her. Yeah.
If I get college football tickets to any other program, she's all in. The reason why, and football, by the way, NFL football, pardon me. The reason why is because those sports allow you to both enjoy some sports, but also, have some conversation, enjoy, chat, talk it up, drink a beer, eat a dog, whatever.
He means a hot dog. In case you're just tuning in, he's not talking about eating an actual dog.
The dogs. They're eating. All right. It's still, I don't care. It's fun. That's hilarious to me. That's objectively hilarious.
Unless you're the dog that's being eaten, then it's not funny at all, Rob.
Objectively, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
Heartless.
Is hilarious. Objectively hilarious.
How dare you?
Putting that aside. It's, there's a little bit of a social element. I'll say this, and I tell this all the time to my baseball buddies. You better watch every damn pitch. You better watch every pitch, because while I will absolutely say, stick your hand up there, reach down, summon the spirit of William Wallace and catch the damn baseball, Greg. I will also say, if you're not paying attention and that thing knocks you on the noggin, it's going to be the last thing you remember from that baseball game, bud.
Or maybe you don't. You may lose a day or two getting hit in the head with
My man said, I watched a girl get KO'd by a foul ball at a drive game, and it was hilarious. Come on, man.
They were being sarcastic. I guarantee.
I don't think they were. I don't guarantee that at all. At all. Rob said, Texter said, Rob, if a safety tips the ball up, the rest of the defense needs to know that receivers can be tackled. That is also it. Yes, once the ball's tipped up in the air, it's free game. The other thing I would say is if you see the ball get tipped up and there was a receiver anywhere near you, Kurt Angle slam them immediately.
Run through their face.
Yes. Samoan drop to the turf, man. Do something. Do literally anything but what Chicago did, for God's sakes.
Pat the ball down.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time for What the X, where I ask Rob what the X is going on, and he will regale all of us with his wonderful social media knowledge. First thing that's Xing is Terry Garr.
Is what now?
Terry Garr.
All right. So, passed away.
Yes.
I know she was in Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else she was famous
Mr.
for.
Mom. She's
like the OG Mr. Mom.
Yeah, the one with Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
and a bunch of stuff like that. Back in, I guess it would be mid to late '80s. She was in a ton of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That checks out. I know her from Young Frankenstein, and part of the reason why is
she was one of the best parts of that movie.
Oh, for sure. One of my favorite things, if you've never done this before, is to, and you can find them. I think there's a couple on YouTube. If not, it's worth it to buy the old DVDs. If you can ever find a Mel Brooks movie with Mel Brooks commentary about the movie, it's the greatest thing you'll ever watch. And I've actually seen the director's cut, the Mel Brooks commentary edition of Young Frankenstein. And every time he talks about Terry Garr, it is fawning over how amazing she was. Unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with Terry Garr, but I'll probably spend some time today looking into some of her stuff.
By the way, it's Frankenstein. The next thing that's Xing is Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland trending. I do not know why. Adam Copeland is trending.
It's a special day.
Is it Edge's birthday today too?
Yes.
All right, there you go. Edge just did an interview.
How old do you think he is?
Oh, he's got to be 53.
51.
I was going to say 52. That would have been better. I believe he just did an interview with my former friend, Brandon Walker, which I got to go check out.
I'm sure that's awkward.
No, I mean, not really.
No, that's a style. Everything's awkward.
Gotcha. Okay, you mean the interview.
Yeah. That's I wasn't being critical. I like the style.
No, I got big time by Brandon Walker, and I'm sure he knows it now.
I know.
My former friend.
I know.
Yeah.
And you should. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Henry Winkler.
The Fonz! Hey! Is it his birthday too?
It is.
Happy birthday to the Fonz. Was the Fonz like the original cool guy character on TV?
All right, for me, yeah, because remember I was like 7 or 8 when that came out, and that was watch every Tuesday. I think is when it came on.
Like before Happy Days. All right. And I'm not a TV historian. I just know what I used to watch at Nick at Night when I was a kid and my mom had the remote. All right. Before Happy Days, it felt like every show was like, here's wholesome American goodness where nobody's too cool, but nobody's not cool,
Yeah,
right?
Leave it to Beaver.
Yeah,
stuff like
Andy
that.
Griffith show. And again,
My
all those
Three
shows are great.
Sons, yeah.
All those shows are great. But it was just always like, here's ideal Americana in front of your face. And then the Fonz showed up in the leather jacket and the cool hair with the Jerry curl, hitting the jukebox to get the song playing. Hey! And all of a sudden it was like, all right, that guy's pretty cool, right? Was that the first TV, not music, not movies, all, but like TV character that was like, hey, that guy's cool. I want to be like that guy.
I think so. At least it was for me, because again, that's right around the time when.
Also, my favorite thing now is that Henry Winkler, as he has aged, all his TV characters now are like nothing like the Fonz, and he's the best. He's the best. His
also,
role in Parks and Rec is one of my favorite recurring roles.
Also, a big time Chiefs fan, and it was pretty cool to see Rich Eisen set up a meeting between he and Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, I did see that. That was pretty rad.
All right, the next thing that's excellent is Shawn Michaels.
HBK. Is it his birthday as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because we're running out of time. He's Xing because of last night and how good it was.
I've heard last night's AEW was spectacular. You know what we should do is talk about that tomorrow at 9:20 for Fight Club with the great Malonzo.
Well, if you actually watch it, it would help. I mean,
I will. I will.
saying.
I'm catching up tonight. That in the World Series. Tomorrow on the show, we got Lulu Keston to the Greenville News to talk South Carolina Gamecocks, Rashad Beard to the Panther Nation podcast to talk Carolina Panthers, Hayden Ask Mario from the BetQL Network to talk NFL, Fight Club Alonzo, and somewhere in there is my interview with Marty Smith from ESPN. All of that tomorrow. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
Let me tell you, you don't know ball.
This might be the one. This might be the time. You didn't cut it when I wanted you to cut it. No, I'm talking about we made. Let me cipher. You don't know how much. You don't know how much. It's not me. That's the problem.
Oh, like there's too much?
Yes.
All right, guys, we got to go set that thing up. Yeah, Marty Smith tomorrow. I'll have the recorded interview, Rashad, Lulu, Fight Club, and whatever, Mario, and whatever other fun and shenanigans we get into. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being here. You're all spectacular people. Tell your friends about us. We want to get famous. Goodbye.
Yeah, we're